Welcome, everyone, to the Sporting Chance podcast. I'm Aaron Kincaid.
And I'm Casey Everett.
And this podcast is brought to you by North Mountain Goshawks. Holla at your boy, Seth Roy, for all of your parent, a.k.a. chamber-raised goshawks. And he might even have an imprint for you if you ask nicely. Check him out on northmountaingoshawks.com.
And also, this podcast is brought to you by Midnight Falconry Supplies, makers of the tightest rated equipment on the market. You can reach Richard Moats, the owner, on Instagram, Facebook, or at his website at www.midnightfalconrysupplies.com.
And also, Ashley Clark, makers and creators of fine falconry furniture. Use the code SportingChance10 for 10% off your order. Now let's get into the show. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Sporting Chance podcast. I am Aaron Kincaid.
And I'm Casey Everett.
And we are joined today by a very special guest, my good friend, Shawn O'Neil. I want to introduce Shawn properly before we get started here. So, Shawn, correct me if I'm wrong about any of this, okay?
Sure.
Shawn is a breeder of performance canines for 36 years. He is the recipient from 1991 to 1994 of the Robert Booth Pedigree Award. He is the 2023 winner of Nathan's Hot Dog Eating Contest. Casey, I think you won 2024, didn't you?
I sure did.
He was inducted in the 2001 American Bully Hall of Fame with a dishonorable discharge from the Navy, and we'll have to get into that here shortly. He's the winner of the Tony Riviera Patterdale Confirmation Award in 1999. He is the proud father of 14 children with 5 different women. He is the American Stag Club president from 1969 to 1987 and was inducted into the Staghound Hall of Fame. He is the 2000 winner of the High Dollar Dog at the Red Bluff in 2014. Congratulations on that, by the way.
Thank you.
He invented the bull stag on the American Fox. He's on the American Foxhound board of directors. He's the recipient. You've done a lot, Shawn. He's the recipient of the Tony Tebby Salesman of the Year Award from 2019 to 2023. He invented the Truck Terrier. He's a paid advisor for Tyler Sladen, Joseph Carter, Seth Simpson, Dan Edwards, and many others. He worked as an undercover agent for PETA, breaking up dogfighting rings across America. He traveled to Africa in 1976, located an African hawk eagle nest, and smuggled the AIDS back into America, posing as a Mormon missionary. I'm not sure if you wanted me to share that one. And
That's all right.
He's been to prison many times, but he's a man of Christ and reads the Bible every day. Thank you for coming, Shawn.
I'm happy to be on, guys. Thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you. Heard a lot about you, a lot of good things.
All right.
That's quite the list of accolades. I'd like to ask you, first of all, tell us about the dishonorable discharge from the Navy.
Oh, we were stationed in Florida, and we went out one night and got really, really loaded. And we were caught having sexual assaulting of porpoises that were there being used for experiments with the Navy, and we got court-martialed and were dishonorably discharged. I don't like to really talk about that.
Well, we like to keep it real here, so thank you for sharing that.
No problem.
We appreciate
it.
Yeah, no problem.
Shawn, you're calling into us from where?
The Northwest.
The Northwest of the United States of America.
Yeah, the beautiful Northwest.
So where are you originally from?
I was originally born and raised in the tri-state area, but mostly New Jersey.
Okay.
I graduated high school in New Jersey. Yeah. Yeah.
What part of New Jersey?
North New Jersey. Up around Bloomfield, Wayne, West
Okay.
Milford,
Okay.
Mawa.
Very familiar, yes. It's my area.
Oh, yeah.
It was yours before it was mine, though.
Yeah. Yeah. I can only imagine what it looks like now. I've been out here for about, I don't know, 14 years now. And I can't imagine living back there.
Yeah, it's a hellhole now. It's really traumatic. Yeah. All the good fields you probably used to run dogs in and, move game and stuff like that. It's like shopping malls, parking lots, homeless encampments,
yeah,
condos,
crazy.
bunch of city people sprawling out and like a plague. It's just, It's nonstop.
Yeah.
One day, all those people are going to live down here in North Carolina, so it'll revert back to nature. So
we can only hope.
I've had the observation the other day that some of that stuff is good for what we do with hunting small game. Like the other day, I'm driving by what used to be a patch of woods in a field that were owned by some random, landowner, and now it's being turned into an industrial center, probably an Amazon warehouse or something like that. I drive by, and at first glance, you're like, "Man, that sucks. They bulldoze the woods," but in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, you know what? That's going to be a spot that I can sneak in and maybe catch a rabbit or two.
That's the way.
Before, I couldn't.
That's the way it was done when I was living there. Every little patch of woods, brush pile, power line, golf course, we ravaged it.
It's a good word.
Yeah,
a good word.
Yeah, we chased the king's deer and took everything that walked or crawled around there in that area. Yep.
How did you take it?
Oh, with dogs exclusively. And I'd imagine. I mean, that New Jersey and New York are, still probably very tight with their gun laws, and so even to carry a firearm back in those days, if you got caught, it was bad. So we ran sighthounds, and they were our dispatchers.
That is
so. How
badass.
did you get started with dogs?
I started I think I was in 9th grade, and I was like, the typical divorced, coming from a divorced family, looking for a father figure, and I ran into a bunch of guys that had bulldogs, and we traveled. As a kid, I traveled with these guys all over the place on the Eastern Seaboard. I don't know, trialing these bulldogs, and
doing bulldog trials.
Bulldog trials, oh yeah, and then I was very interested in animals. I kept, from the minute I could, walk and crawl, I kept all types of animals, reptiles and mammals and rodents. Anyway, I got into a veterinarian clinic and worked every day after school and all day, every day during the summer as a vet tech. And that made me even more valuable to these guys. So that's how I got into it. I started off with those.
Interesting. I could imagine guys like that sending somebody off to vet tech school. Like, we're paying for your school. Go to vet tech school.
Back in these days, Aaron, vet techs could be anybody. They could be, the alcoholic guy that sits at the end of the bar every day and just walks in there and, like, if you clean dog shit out of a kennel or a dog cage at the, you were a vet tech back then, not like today.
Oh, so it was on the job training.
Yeah, but the guy that I worked for was pretty cool. He got his license in the Philippines. And he was here practicing in New Jersey. And he used to let me close up, after surgery and everything. Yeah.
That's awesome.
I think the statute of limitations has run out, right?
I would
Probably.
imagine.
And I know he's long gone, so I don't think there'll be any problems. But yeah, I used to close up and
At the very least, those dogs are long gone.
Yeah, administer medication, stuff like that. So it was great.
That's pretty. I don't know. I did a little stint as a vet tech myself, and the guy I worked for was pretty lenient like that too. I was doing a bunch of stuff that I was not qualified to do.
One of my friends is I don't know. He's full of shit, so it's hard to tell exactly what's what. But there's a picture of him standing there with a gas mask on a monkey with a thumbs up behind the scenes at the vet. So he has stuff like that. He has monkeys and all types of crazy exotics. So I guess he took the monkey to the vet and they had to do something and they had to put it under and he probably said, "Hey, do you mind if I do it?" And they're like, "Yeah, go ahead, bud."
Hey,
it's the funniest picture.
Is there still the Turtleback Zoo over there in New Jersey?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I think I was there as a kid.
Yeah, I was there on like a 6th or 7th grade class trip, and I got a hand job from a monkey at that zoo.
Speaking of hand jobs, when I worked at that veterinary clinic, the head vet tech there, he was a homosexual gentleman, and he was hysterical, and he used to make me drive him to his tanning appointments and his eyebrow stuff. But he was one of those guys where literally every guy that came in, he would try to like turn them gay, like in the exam room. It was hysterical. And he'd be like, "Watch this, he's gay." I'm like, "Dude, his wife is super attractive. There's no way he's gay." And then he'd go in there and he'd be like, "So what I'm doing is I'm just going to place my fingers like this." And he'd be like making dead eye contact with the guy. It was so funny, man. It's hilarious. But yeah, it was a shit show.
What did he accomplish with you, bud?
No, he was grooming me essentially, but he was a good guy. Jim was a good guy, and I learned a lot there. Actually, I just it was a lot of crazy stuff, man. And the vet that worked there, the main guy who owned the place, he was like super badass. Somebody that somebody like Shawn would get along with. I mean, this freaking crazy pit bull got loose in the back, was trying to bite everybody, and everyone jumping over the gate, like running out, all the ladies and me, and I was jumping out, and then Dr. I'm not going to say his name, but he just walks in and the pit's like snarling at him, and he just walks right up to it and starts screaming at it at the top of his lungs, like bent over right in its face. And then he just, while the dog is like, "What the hell?" He just freaking like a ninja just scruffs it and lifts like this, 40, 50 pound pit up by the scruff, and then grabs it by its back legs and stretches it and starts screaming for like the vet techs to get in there so they could get the freaking, get the thing sedated. It was a shit show. It was super entertaining to work there. But then when I realized I would only make like $15 an hour for the rest of my life, then I was like, this isn't for me. So I jumped out of that. But I learned a lot. So
I loved it. I worked there from 7th grade all the way through 12th to when I graduated.
Yeah. Oh, so you probably know a lot then, I would imagine.
I forgot. It's all forgotten now.
Do you know how to stitch a dog up?
Yeah. Use a stapler.
Yeah, that's the dog. Well, maybe one day now with the dogs that I have, I may need to learn that skill, especially with the whippet. But
yeah.
So when did you get started? When did you deviate from the bulldog trials to running dogs on game?
I moved out to Mahwah, New Jersey, and I was living there, and I was working as a stuntman for movies and television and traveling back and forth to the city. And I was working on this one show, and they used to pick us up at the Mayflower Hotel, which at the time was right in Columbus Circle there. And the call time was like 6 a.m. So I'd get there at 4 o'clock from New Jersey and wait, or 4:30, 5 o'clock. And so right across from the Mayflower is Central Park. And I turned around and walked across the street, and they had a big block wall there. And I looked down, and the ground was moving. And I thought, I kept staring at the ground, and from the edge of the wall, which I was at street level, and then from the bottom of my feet down the other side of the wall was probably 10 feet, 12 feet. And I was looking at the edge of the wall, and from the edge of the wall there out to the grass was probably 20 feet. And all that ground was moving. So just as the sun was coming up, I could see more and more and more. There was thousands and thousands and thousands of rats. I mean, like epidemic plague type
Oh
numbers.
my God.
So I said, I'm going to go get a bulldog as a pet and come here and do ratting, because the bulldog, trialing those bulldogs it was all over for me. And then at that point in my life, and I went and started researching bulldogs. Somebody said, hey, you've got to go get a Jack Russell. They're better than bulldogs for ratting. I said, oh yeah, where do I get a Jack Russell? And I started researching that, and this is like, if you could imagine, before Google and everything else, I found the Jack Russell Club of America and found a woman out in Long Island that bred Jack Russells. I called her and purchased the puppy, and she goes, where do you live? And I said, Mahwah, New Jersey. She goes, oh, you probably live very close to one of the best terrier hunters in the country that hunts terriers, and A-rated judge for the club, terrier judge. And I said, yeah, what's his name? And they go, it's her name. It's Teddy Moritz. And I said, oh yeah, what's her number? They gave me her phone number, and turned out I lived 1 mile from her, and her
Wow.
husband,
Yeah.
Carl, and the kids. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
I went to her house, pulled up there. She looked at me up and down, and said, well, do you want to go out today? And I said, yeah, sure. She had a crazy woman with her named Naomi, who I believe passed away in a plane crash in Hawaii. Had her dogs there to get certificates, hunting, working certificates for the dogs. So they had to go out and work in front of an A-rated judge, which was Teddy. Teddy took the dogs to a spot. There was a hole there, and the dog went right down a hole, and the ground just started shaking like crazy. She handed me a shovel and said, hey, dig here. I dug there, and out popped the dog and a raccoon, and her lurcher dispatched that coon like in 30 seconds, and the rest was history. That was it. It was done.
Wow.
It was put a fork in me. It was over. And then I never stopped. And I ended up out here because of her, because she was a contributor to Full Cry, the magazine. And she used to get Full Cry delivered to her house every month. And they would have these mountain lion scenes or bear hunting scenes out here out west. And I said, one day I'm going to move out here. Here I am.
It's funny, all these years later, she's still teaching young would-be hunters how it's done.
Yep.
And what year do you think that was that you met her?
Oh, I know exactly. It was 1988.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. 1988. Her husband, Carl, was the scout, the master, or the camp commandant at Camp Glen Gray in New Jersey there. And it was right down the road from where I live. And the times that, from this time on, the time I've known the Moritzes, they lived in places that you couldn't even fathom that were New Jersey. Like you would go to their place and you wouldn't even know you were in New Jersey. That's how lucky and fortunate I was to get that introduction, because we were in big woods. We were in the Ramapo Mountains in the beginning. And then we went on the other side of Route 23 between 46 and 23 up in those mountains up there. And that's where they lived the whole time I knew them, before they retired and went to Maryland or Delaware. Sorry.
Yeah, Delaware. And
Yeah.
I haven't been to her new place, but it looks, based on the pictures she sent me in the videos, it's not what you would imagine being in Delaware. It looks like a little, British countryside farm or something.
Yeah. Oh, Carl is super handy. Super handy. He can do anything, and they've been there a long time now. I think they moved there a couple of years before I moved. Once she moved out of New Jersey, I knew I was going. I was going. I was trying to get out of there as fast as possible. And I had a really nice place up in Westtown, New York. I mean, a sanctuary. But I got run out of there by dog laws and everything else, which is a whole nother story. But anyway, that's how it started.
Yeah, the dog laws are, especially up in the mid-Atlantic and the Northeast, are crazy to somebody like me from the South and from the Appalachian Mountains, man. The idea that the local government can tell you what breeds of dogs you can and can't have is just absolutely insane to me.
Yeah, I was living in Orange County in Westtown, New York, on 60 acres of paradise. And countryside. It was beautiful, and they came into a couple high-profile dog cases out there, and which put everybody in Orange County, New York, in a panic. The powers that be, they turned around and started enforcing kennel laws. And before I left, the dogs, if you had a kennel and you weren't grandfathered in, the dogs had to live in a facility that was nicer than most people's houses. And I'm not even joking. Had to have heat, air conditioning, running water, plumbing, everything.
God.
Yeah. Yep.
Is that still in effect?
Yeah.
I'm sure it's even worse.
Casey's like, oh shit.
That was in Orange County, New York.
I live in Orange County, New York right now, currently.
What? Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
I lived over in Westtown. You know where that is, right?
Yeah. Well, I should just stay off the radar then. But I want to hear, I don't know if Aaron had a direction you wanted to go, but I want to hear some Teddy Moritz stories with you. I mean, run around those mountains. I know that there's some sketchy people that live up there. What do they call them? Jackson Whites, they call them?
Jackson Whites, yeah.
You have any run-ins with them?
Yeah, only during deer hunting season. When deer hunting season would open up, and I was open shotgun, they would line some parts of those mountains and literally be 50 yards apart or 25 yards apart and walk in a straight line, like just armed.
Yeah.
No orange on, no nothing. And basically just mark. And we knew I'm sure it's the same with you guys. When deer hunting season kicks in, you just stay out of the woods till the major bullshit is over. You know what I mean? And that's how it was. That's how it was with us, because we were hunting, easily 5-6 days a week. Yeah.
Okay.
So what were those people called that you said?
They're Jackson Whites. They're a mix between American Indian, Black Americans, and the Dutch. And I might be missing something else. And they kind of bred to themselves and kept to themselves.
Yeah, that's what I heard too. Yeah. Yeah, I heard that there's certain parts of Mawa. At least when I was young, we'd go off-roading a lot, like at Sheraton and stuff.
Yeah, yep.
And there's certain spots where you're not really supposed to go because
there was places up there the Mawa cops wouldn't even go.
Yeah, oh yeah, they'll kill you. You want to make somebody disappear. My barber actually in Emerson cutting my hair, and he was telling me that some guy was came up to him while they were dirt biking up there, and he was telling him if you want, it's he basically was offering to off somebody, for the right price, and he had a backhoe and it's super sketchy up there.
Yeah, 100%.
There's some people down in South Carolina. Well, obviously, I was born in West Virginia. We got all types of that in West Virginia. But down in South Carolina, a buddy of mine was telling me about these. He just called them the Marlboro County Boys.
Sounds like a band.
Yeah.
He said they're black and Native American, and said pretty much the same thing, that they breed to themselves, keep to themselves. You don't want to run into them on, out in the swamps out there, that they're bad news. They'll kill you. They'll beat you up. They'll rob you, all that. So
yeah, a lot of them are like albino too, which is weird. Right, Shawn?
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. They're like albino. It's like really, they're, I hate to say it like that, but they're
is
very
that bullshit or is that real?
No,
that's real. Real. Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
For real.
Yeah.
We need to get one of them on the pod.
Let's just go stumble around the woods in Mawa.
Yeah.
Maybe somebody will come find us.
Good luck.
Not something that, being from the South, not something I would ever imagine would be in the New York, New Jersey area.
It's
just
like
imagine a bunch of urbanites.
It's right. It's this little pizza slice of area, like right where New York and New Jersey touch, up north there in those mountains.
Yeah.
And it's, it's funny that the developers and powers that be haven't run them off yet to get that land to put up, some monstrous bullshit up there. You know what I mean?
I'm sure their day will come.
Yeah.
Shawn, that the Sheraton, they're going to demolish the Sheraton soon.
Yeah. Yeah. We used to hunt there like crazy.
We still do. Everybody still does.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. They're turning into an Amazon, packaging center.
Wow.
Yeah, it's nuts.
What is the Sheraton?
It's a hotel up there. I saw Trump there one time. Yeah.
Really?
He was there and gave a speech. A long time ago. Yeah. Yeah.
Back when he was beloved by everyone.
Yeah, he had the Trump steaks. Remember that? He used to sell the Trump steaks.
I heard about it, but I don't remember it.
Yeah.
I just remember him and cameos and everything we watched, like, Home Alone 2 and stuff like that.
Yeah.
He was a huge celebrity back in the 90s.
Yeah.
So, Teddy stories. Casey touched on the Jackson 5 or whatever they are. So, I know you and Teddy have got into some crazy stuff. So what? And there's probably too much for you to even get into right now. But what comes to mind?
Man, I should have thought about this and wrote it down. Like, pick a scenario. It's probably happened to either me and back when I was in New Jersey and Teddy. More than likely, Teddy was with me, and one time we were hunting, and I forget where in New Jersey, and I was dressed in camo, and it was wintertime, and we had some collie lurchers that we were running at the time, and we came through these woods, and out in the middle of this marsh was a big business center, and it was a bright, sunny, blue day, very cold, and we must have jumped about 20 or 30 deer, and the dogs took off after the deer. And the deer ran right up alongside the building and around the building and disappeared, and the dogs came back. So we continued hunting, and I believe we dug a raccoon that day, with the terriers and the dachshunds. And because at that time, when I first met Teddy, like right when I met her, she had just got out of terriers, and she got into dachshunds. And she didn't even have long hairs then. She had Ross, she had smooth coats and some wire hairs. And I think she got her first long hairs from that guy out in Ohio or Indiana, older guy that bred them. Anyway, the dogs came back. We maybe dug a raccoon or hunting along a river, and we started walking back to the car. And as we started getting close, I just ducked down and I grabbed her and I go, get down. She goes, what? I go, the car is surrounded by cops. So she goes, I'll just go talk to them. And over the loudspeaker, the cop goes, I can see you. I see you. So Teddy gets up and I grab her again and I go, Teddy, I go, give me your pistol. And because she used to carry a Derringer on her and, a 22 mag Derringer. I said, give me the pistol. And I took the pistol and took it and shoved it in the hollow of a tree because, if they searched her or anything happened. She drove a Ford Escort that had more DNA in it and bones and teeth and hair and guts. I mean, like they probably thought we were homeless people. You know what I mean? And she gets up and goes and talks to the police and goes and talks to the police. She goes, are you coming? I go, hell no, I'm not walking out there. They didn't see me. They saw you. And it was what they really saw was we had a dog that came from David Hancock over in England. It was an import, and she had a lot of white on her. And it's a big no-no when you're hunting sighthounds and trespassing all the time, or in areas that you're really not allowed to be, is to hunt dogs that are predominantly white or all white. That's a big no-no. And
they do stand out.
That dog stood out, and that's what the cops saw, And she just went out and talked to them, and they left, and we left. And I said, leave that pistol there. I said, don't, because we were on a dead end road. I said, they might pull us over or something. So she went back, I think, with Carl that night and got the pistol. So, yeah.
That's a great story.
That was that time.
I bet she got out of trouble all the time by being a sweet little lady.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, little did they know she could flick her shovel and kill him. And
without even a second thought.
Yeah. And let's see, another time, man, I mean, I hunted all over the place and met everybody with her because she was a judge, and I was the muscle, meaning like I dug, and that's what I did, and we dug and dug and dug and dug and dug and dug, and pretty much till we watched the Jack Russell, just go from a great working animal to just disappear into show and pet lines,
You could blame the TV show Wishbone for that.
Yeah, I'm sure it was.
You remember that?
Yeah. I know the show. Yeah.
So now, them very popular pets.
So Shawn, you touched on something during that story that's interesting, and I would like you to elaborate if you could. So the lurcher, why was the lurcher bred? It was bred for a specific reason. I heard
it was the lurcher. The term lurcher comes from England, and it means to lurch, or I forget the exact definition. But it was originally bred by country folk because greyhounds, racing dogs, and sporting dogs belong to royalty, and you weren't allowed to have them. And I'm sure I'm going to be corrected about this. So the people that scratched a living out there, in England and the British Isles, couldn't have a pure greyhound. So they had these mongrels that were purpose bred, to hunt game and take game, all types of game, everything. And that's where the lurchers originated from. And when I got into it, the predominant cross was the collie lurcher. And now, with the invention of the internet and Cialis and other things, it's the bull lurcher. So,
and The bull lurcher, for the uninitiated, what's that?
That's well, first of all, the term lurcher is any type of herding dog or terrier crossed upon a sighthound. But the most common sighthound used is a greyhound, and the two other breeds are either collie or American pit bull terrier. That's what's used commonly, and they come in a couple different flavors. They come 50-50 half crosses, and then 3/4 crosses, 7/8 crosses. Sometimes they put a dash of Saluki in there for endurance, or they'll with the bull lurchers they might put a dash of collie in there for brains and trainability and coat. It just depends on what you're doing and what the actual hunter prefers.
For those of you out there who've never worked with a pure sighthound, it's amazing how stupid they are. What do you think, Shawn?
I completely disagree with that statement. No, it's. I used to race greyhounds professionally, and at one time I owned the fastest greyhound in America in the 5/16ths, and the toughest track at the time was in Rhode Island. I forget the name of the track, but anyway, the purses were bolstered by the slot winning, because you couldn't get slot machines. You couldn't get gambling anywhere, so they put it on Greyhound Racing Ground, where there already was, quote, gambling. So part of the deal that they cut was they would bolster the winnings, the purses for the dogs that won. So a grade A win was a grade A win in Rhode Island was $1,500, and my dog every 4 days would make $1,500, and that was like 1990s money, man.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Yeah,
that was
big money. Yeah,
it's like 50. It's like 50,000 nowadays.
I bought a farm. I bought a farm with some of the winnings from that dog. Yeah.
Really? So, I was going to ask what you pissed the money away on.
But anyway, to answer your question, I had a lot of those track greyhounds at my house, and they're trainable. It's what you put into them,
Sounds not much.
Sounds like Aaron's got to put a little more effort in. Jesus.
Yeah.
So how are you training these dogs? And like if it's like you're making money like that, like you got to have some sort of a fitness regimen going on, I would imagine. So
well, here's the thing, Casey. I never, with the racing greyhounds, there was a system down, and I paid very close attention to guys that were very successful racing greyhounds. And I paid attention and followed their formula exactly to the T, except to the very end, at which bankrupted me, and I'll tell you that story. But anyway, this is what they did. They never touched the dogs. They never saw the dogs. The dogs lived on a farm down in Oklahoma, Kansas, Texas. Down there, they were big business raising greyhounds. Okay. So these greyhound farmers would have the female down there, and all the stud AI was huge at that time, and so you would go down there, not go down there. Your bitch would be down there, and you decide to breed your bitch to, let's say, a dog called Gray Statesman, and you'd breed a Gray Statesman, and they would have the pups there. They would raise the pups, and then they would keep the pups in a pen out there. They'd feed the pups, and they would turn around and start training the pups for the track, which entailed them getting loaded up into a truck, going to the thing and putting in there and teaching them to break the box and chase the lure. Now, in Oklahoma at the time, they still had cockfighting, and you were allowed to live jack, which means you could use live jackrabbits to train those dogs. And that's why everybody sent their dogs to Oklahoma.
Oh,
but
got it.
The dogs I had, Casey and Aaron, were dogs that either, broke their leg or graded off the track, and I took them back to my farm and used them in my breeding program. Fur tested them, used them in my breeding program, or used them. I never used them as hunting dogs because they would, they'd tear open like tissue paper, back east,
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I heard that. I don't know much, but I heard that the greyhounds tend to have weaker pads and thinner skin.
It's super fragile when you breed for one thing and one thing only, and that is speed to get around the track and cross the finish line first. And when all the dogs are huddled up into that first turn and they're all talking to each other with their dog language, you got to have a dog that wants to push through and get to the front, break the box early, and get out of that traffic and get around the track as fast as possible. Even then, on a groomed sand track, they hurt their feet. So
Right.
when you breed for speed, that's what you throw everything else to the wayside, and the first thing to go is pad, feet, and toughness, feet, hide, stuff like that.
Were greyhounds used as hunting dogs in any capacity, or are they only bred for racing?
1,000%. They are the ultimate. Back in the day, they were the ultimate killing machine. They were it, man. They were, but they're not the same greyhounds you're thinking of today. Yeah, they're another different. They're a different animal. They're more like the term is called a cold blood, which is a dog that's American staghound that looks like a greyhound, but has hairy parents or non-pure greyhound parents behind it, and they call it a cold blood. And those dogs resembled that. They almost resembled. You guys look it up and Google it. Look at the Waterloo races. They're over now in England, but they used, big 90-pound rough dogs chasing hares over in England. Their big event, it was like the Super Bowl of rabbit chasing, hare chasing over there in England, was the Waterloo Cup. And
didn't that end fairly recently?
Yeah, like in the last, I don't know, 15 years maybe or something. Yeah. Yep.
And that was their primary quarry was hare. And
yeah.
So they weren't chasing deer and stuff in Europe and stuff like that.
Nobody would admit it. No, but
those belong to the king.
Yeah, they belong. Yeah, you don't touch the king's deer, but it happens.
So I could just Google this, but I'm curious. What do you think the fastest dog is?
I used to know that. Well, see, it depends on the race. They have a couple different races at a greyhound track. They have a sprint, and then they have the 5/16, and then they have, I believe, the 7/16 or 9/16, which is the longer distance. And the ones that were running the really short sprints, shorter than a 5/16 mile, those dogs, had like zero endurance, and but they could hustle, and they could they could cross the line very quickly. And I don't know what the fastest dog
are. Those races limited to greyhounds, or could any dog do it?
Well, here's the thing, like the Iditarod,
yeah, exactly.
You don't see huskies, okay?
Right.
No,
you don't see this, you don't see that. You see a purpose-bred mongrel. So the best dog to do it, when there's money involved, everything goes out the wayside. Everything. So, I mean, they'll try to drug the dogs. They'll try to do this to the dogs. They'll try to make dogs that are going to win a derby or win, a match race, high dollar match race. They'll cheat, do everything possible. But the best dogs to do it, if collie lurchers ran better at a greyhound track, everybody would run collie lurchers. They run greyhounds for a reason. Yeah.
So the greyhound is the fastest dog.
Absolutely. In general. Yeah.
Okay.
And we're speaking in general terms.
I was telling Casey on an earlier episode that my wife and I went on a honeymoon to Alaska, and we went on a sled dog experience.
Yeah.
And those sled dogs piss and shit while they're running.
Oh yeah.
It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. There's no stopping to do it. They're full trot, just going. Just turds dropping to the ground, piss, hitting the ground while they're running. And if one of them starts to slow down, the others turn and attack it while they're running.
Yeah.
But to your point, and I'd said the same thing, is that you see no huskies there. It's all just ugly, mangy looking mongrels.
Purpose bred mutts. Yeah.
Interesting. I think that, and I'm sure I'm wrong. I'm wrong about most things, but I can't imagine something being quicker than a whippet on a sprint. Short sprint.
See, yeah, I mean that's true to a certain point. I bred a litter of Belgian Malinois, bred a ring 3 Belgian Malinois to a female greyhound that the whole litter ran grade A, and she got hurt and never made the track, but the whole litter ran grade A like that, and that's very rare. And Teddy and I got that dog. Her name was, I believe, Midnight, and we turned around and started hunting her. And that dog, we hunted the hair off of that dog. And then we went to breed her to make lurchers, and I got talked in, not by Teddy, of course, but I got talked into breeding to this Ring Sport 3 dog. So I had this litter of a half Malinois, half greyhound litter. And I gave a leather worker one, and he had to go on vacation. And he goes, Shawn, can you take the dog back and hang on to it while I go to Europe and vacation, see my family, and learn some more leather stuff? And I said, sure, no problem. So I take the dog back, and I head out to my local golf course at about 6 at night. And, I'm watching these big jackrabbits come out on this golf course in New Jersey. And I'm watching them, and they get out into the hole, and I had a couple fast dogs and turned them loose. And that half cross ran very slow, like he appeared to run slow, because his snap and his gathering, when he gathered himself and then threw himself out there, seemed to be very slow compared to these really good lurchers I had. But to my surprise, as he was a 90-pound dog, to my surprise, it was an optical illusion. And I'll tell you a story. We years ago, there was a whippet breeder out in Long Island named Steve Cooper, and he raced greyhounds. He was my mentor in racing greyhounds, and he raced whippets, and he had the best. He had great greyhounds, and he had great whippets, and he got his whippets from Tony Lewis out in Washington, which was the Life, Lythe, I believe was his kennel name. And these dogs were fantastic dogs. And we went out rabbiting one time, and out in Long Island, and I mean, crazy numbers with about 6 inches of fresh snow on the ground. I mean, those rabbits just couldn't get it. And I swear that Teddy's dog and my dog, I mean, if we killed 10, 15 rabbits that day, I think our dogs caught most of them in front of the whippets from bolts. They had kicking brush piles and jamming sticks in brush piles and kicking bushes and stuff like that, Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So
it's an optical illusion, because that's not this is a falconry podcast. So that's when you said optical illusion and the way he gathered himself and how it was throwing you off, that my mind instantly went to golden eagles on jackrabbits out west, where when you watch them flying, it looks like they're so slow, and their wing beat is like you said, like it's slow, and but that bird is actually flying, like it could easily fly down a goshawk in flight. But the goshawk looks like it's moving so much faster because of the way its body is,
right,
and the way the wing beat is. But the golden eagle is, just tremendously faster than the goshawk, but it just looks slower by the way it's moving. That's very interesting.
So We're going to come back to hunting, but you said Kennedy, and it reminded me because that's on your credentials, not the credentials I read out loud, but your stunt work.
Right.
You did stunt work in the movie Kennedy, is what I read.
Yeah, the miniseries Kennedy. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So not the Oliver Stone movie?
No.
But many other movies.
Oh, yeah.
So,
yeah.
And Casey made the joke about the original Ninja Turtles movie back in the early 90s. You were in that one as well?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
What were you doing in that one?
I was a foot soldier.
You were a foot soldier?
Yeah, getting my ass kicked by one of those Chinese acrobats in a turtle suit. Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
Can you point yourself out in the movie?
Yeah. I'm the foot soldier that follows them back to their hideout and jumps down into the train station and follows them back to their hideout. And,
I'm picturing that scene right now.
That's insane.
That's incredible.
That movie, that's hilarious. My parents took us to see that in the theater in Cleveland, Ohio. And they told it, my dad is such an asshole, and my mom, I guess, went along with it, which my mom's not an asshole, but they told us they were taking us to the orphanage, and that we packed suitcases. We thought we were done. We thought they were dropping us off and it was over with.
That's cruel, man.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
And we saw the Ninja Turtles movie, and I remember my brother. No, it was actually the second one. My brother won a CD. That was the first CD we ever had. Was the second Ninja Turtles movie with Super Shredder in it. And you were also in Ghostbusters too, huh?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
What'd you do in that?
Whole bunch of stuff. Like, I didn't drive the ambulance, or I drove one of the vehicles that was in front or behind the ambulance, and we did I can't even remember, because one day we would be getting falling downstairs, and the next day we were getting a hand job from a bunkie. No,
I didn't remember that scene.
Yeah.
I guess that was on the cutting room floor.
Yeah, that never made the movie with Ivan Reitman. But anyway, long story short, I was on it for a couple weeks, and we did a lot of. I remember doing I remember we crashed a lot of cars in Columbus Circle when the Marshmallow Man came and through Columbus Circle. That's right. Yeah, that was a big stunt when we crashed some cars together, and I jumped out, jumped over a taxi, and ran away from the Marshmallow guy.
Oh, yeah. So you're in that unmasked, unlike you were in Ninja Turtles,
right? Yeah.
So you can watch a movie and see yourself in it fairly easily.
I know it's me. I can see I'm crashing, slamming into another taxi and getting out, jumping over the hood and running away. It's pretty, but it's not like, and the Marshmallow guy's in the background. Yep.
Man, that is cool.
And last but not least, Goodfellas. Sorry, Casey.
Yeah. Spent a bunch of days on that, and little did I know. I worked a lot. I was based in New York. I worked a lot with Martin Scorsese. I worked on another movie with him. I'm trying to remember what it was. I think Madonna was in it. But anyway, we in Goodfellas, we did a lot of driving, and then we did some stuff that never made it to the movie, where we got killed, we didn't show us getting killed, but we were dead, and they dumped us like through our bodies, like down the side of a road or something, and that never made it into the movie. And that's about it on that one.
How does one get into being is a stunt double? Like, is that the term?
No,
like,
a stunt man.
A stunt man. So like, how do you try out for that? You just throw yourself through like a window and like Just
No,
like it's
no,
you got to
they,
have some credentials, right? You got to know how to fall. Like, how does that
no,
go down?
it's basically poor life choices. And it was either that or become a fireman. And that sounded gay. So,
Swinging
but,
down poles and stuff with a bunch of dudes.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But from that,
it,
you could step into a Village People cover band.
Oh, absolutely. No, I was in high school and I streaked through high school and got caught and expelled for 5
in
days.
school or like at night, like in people's yard.
No,
oh, okay.
No, I was in high school in the huge Bloomfield, New Jersey, Bloomfield High School.
Yep, I know.
And streaked through there and got caught with a mask on. Got caught, and anyway, long story short, spent 5 days out, and I was getting in a lot of trouble, getting arrested, and for just mischief and being a general asshole. And my mother goes, "Well, what are you going to do with your life?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm going to be a stuntman." She goes, "Okay. Well, how do you do that?" And I said, "I don't know." She goes, "Well, you better start researching it." So I found a stuntman in New York, and I just basically camped out on his apartment and became so annoying for about 3 months straight that he finally got me a job, gave me a job, and got my union card. I became a member of Screen Actors Guild. Yeah. And that's when I worked on the Kennedy years. Yeah. With Martin Sheen.
So what was the last job you had as a stuntman?
The last big job I had was probably Bourne Ultimatum. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, you gotta tell us about that. Let's go.
So we got on that job and got hired for the New York stuff, and a lot of all car chasing, car crashing, precision driving, and stuff like that. That's what that was. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Do any of these celebrities and directors that we know of, do any of them stand out as super cool or super assholes?
You remember, I'm you guys, I don't know how old you guys are, but you got to remember that Robert De Niro was the man. He was the man. Okay. Meaning he was a badass actor. He's made great movies and everything. And now if you agree with his political views or don't agree, he's pretty much an asshole right now. You know what I mean?
Right.
And anyway, I was reading for a part in a movie, and we had to go to Tribeca Studios, which is, of course, down in Tribeca, and I had to read for him and the producer Ivan, whatever his name was, and go in there and read for the part of the hell do they call those guys that wore the members only jackets? Preppies, yuppies. I had to read as a yuppie or something, and get punched in the face. I had to get punched in the stomach by De Niro. So I go in there and was reading for him, and did my line and took the punch to the stomach and went out and sat. And there was a bunch of other actors there, not stuntmen, but actors there reading for bit parts. And one was a very old man. So the old man went in there and read, and these doors were like, I'll never forget him. His office doors were like 20 feet tall and like solid wood. They opened it was like a castle in this place. And they opened up, went inside, closed the doors, and all of a sudden, the guy comes out and he left his briefcase or backpack in the room where the producer and De Niro and the casting director were, and some other people. And all of a sudden he goes back and knocks on the door, and we're all like, oh, like it was just a known fact that you just didn't do that, and you just don't go and knock on the door to the office, and we're sitting out, we're in the main office, but this was, De Niro's office. And so we're sitting on this, leather couch or whatever it was. And he gets up and knocks on the door. De Niro, the casting director, rips the door open. Goes, what? He goes, hey, I left my briefcase in there. And he goes, okay, shuts the door. All of a sudden, De Niro rips the door open, goes, what do you got, a tape recorder in here? And literally starts dumping the guy's bag and going through it on the ground.
Wow.
And I'm like, this guy's an asshole. You know what I mean? And little did I know, fast forward to, now, there you go, So,
yeah.
Never meet your heroes, right?
No, there you go. That's a good saying. Yeah.
Wow. That is so cool, man, that you had that experience. You've done a lot.
That's cool. That's not cool.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
How was the punch? Did you like shit blood after that? And like,
oh, come on, man. He's 5'6".
Come on, bro.
Some actor.
Casey, are you 5'6"?
I'm 5'7".
Yeah, but he's whatchamacallit, he's 5'6", some actor, a stuntman. And I was like, that was my job back in those days. And listen, this is after Raging Bull and everything. I mean, he could throw a punch,
right?
And he's not really punching me in the stomach. He's doing a fake camera punch.
Oh,
but he was very, he could really throw it. He could throw hands. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Have you ever seen, what's it called? Once Upon a Time in Hollywood with Brad Pitt?
Yeah. Yeah.
What did you think about the scene with Bruce Lee and him?
Well, I think Tarantino was touching on the fact that that's, I mean, of course, he's making up his own history, but touching on the fact that maybe pretty much that's how he is, or how he was, and you got to remember guys like that, they're one-trick ponies, and they're trying to, their product that they're selling is themselves. So they're, turn around and, there's no doubt that Bruce was extremely talented and, probably kick my front teeth in if he wanted to, but, he probably was. I've, met and come across so many, douchebags from Hollywood that I believe, that was a no-brainer for me,
Well, the stuntman was based on a real guy, right?
Well, no, the stuntman was based on a character. Like, I've read that when Tarantino, blows out a movie, he writes every character from the time that they're born to the time that they die. And that stuntman was supposed to be like some special forces guy from Vietnam or Korea or, something like that. You know what I mean? Where he was a trained killer, and Brad Pitt's character,
Yeah.
So that's,
for some reason I was thinking it was based on a real guy, but
yeah.
So none of that would actually surprise you if that were real.
No.
I like the things of Steven Seagal doing,
doing
karate with guys. And it's obvious the dudes that he's doing karate with are just playing along with it.
Yeah.
Steven Seagal beat me up on Saturday Night Live. And
really?
Yeah. He's another asshole.
Yeah.
He is an asshole.
He's so full of shit, that guy.
He was, he wasn't throwing acting punches or hits. He was probably really hitting you as hard as he could.
The thing that saved me, I was taking Aikido at the time and was really into it. And so when he threw like a wrist lock or, did that, you'll see guys flip over their arms. You know what I mean? Flip over their arms and fall on the ground, like actually do a somersault over their arm when he torques the wrist and manipulates the joint to where, it's going to break. So you got to either, fall over your arm or, you're going to get a spiral fracture. And because that's how it really happens out in the street when you do that to somebody is you grab the wrist and do a wrist lock and crank down on it real hard and fast. Their arm explodes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so a lot of these, helpers that were working with Seagal, you'd see him flip over. Man, he threw a wrist lock on me that, I mean, thank God that it didn't get like another stuntman. Like it was me that was doing it and not another stuntman. You know what I mean? Yeah.
And he's probably not the type of guy who would have cared if he hurt you.
No, not at all. No.
And that the goal with that obviously is not to hurt the stuntman. You're trying to just do something that looks believable.
No,
it's not an MMA fight or something.
No, it's not. It's it's supposed to be a choreographed dance for the thing. So
back in the day, man, we used to love his movies. Under Siege and
oh yeah, no, he's good. And let me tell you something. Back in the day, he was for real. Like, I mean, you didn't want to what's the word? You did not want to mess around. Yeah, you did not want to mess around with him. No.
Yeah. No. I love watching like the Family Guy when they were making fun of him.
Yeah.
Remember that? And the guy says something to him and he's like, and the guy's body just like falls apart. So funny. With like one finger. So funny.
Yeah.
With the stupid glasses.
So yeah. You touched on earlier kind of what got you into the sporting dogs was the seeing all those rats. Did you ever rat in New York City?
Oh yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
I ratted all along that high wall. I forget the name of that road. Very famous road. Park Avenue South, maybe, or whatever that goes along the park. And I ratted all along that wall. And I even ferreted. I even got ferrets and went back there and used ferrets to chase them out during the day. Yep.
Nice.
And I used terriers and a little pit bull I had at the time. And really just ratted and loved it. But, I'm not a city guy. I mean, listen, you can turn around. I can hop on a plane, land in a city, and, navigate and find my way around. And, I'm basically a street guy from New Jersey, but I really prefer the country. So I wouldn't go there that often to rat when I could just go out and dig woodchucks or hunt raccoons or dig foxes or, stuff like that. And that's what I did. Yeah.
I like being able to visit the city and do some ratting, but I am glad I don't live there. We'll put it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ratting is good sport, as Teddy says.
Yeah. It's good. It's a good summer night activity. Keep your dog sharp in the off season, I would say, do you guys have rat colonies at your house?
Yeah. Well, I breed rats. Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
I got some by my chickens.
Yeah, I know.
Casey has wild ones.
Oh, well, I do too, but I got them crossed with the lab rats, to slow them down a little bit. But I keep a big rat colony at the house, maybe about 100, 150 rats to start the dogs with, start my puppies with. Yeah.
That's something I always do as well. I like to catch fully wild rats in a little have a heart trap.
Yeah.
And I've got poultry, so there's a small amount of rats around. I try and keep them controlled. I kill as many as I can with the dogs. I don't use poison or lethal traps on them at all. It's just live traps. And if I find them nested up underneath a board or something, I'll always get the dogs and flip it and let the dogs kill them.
Right.
But nothing beats a wild rat for training a new dog.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So I think we can talk about, I think we kind of did a decent overview of your time in the Northeast. Let's talk about when you decide to move to the Northwest.
Like I said, I had this beautiful place in Westtown, New York. I mean, it was something out of a storybook. And I got chased out of there by the dog warden. And I just basically had to leave and had to sell it. And it was during the real estate. Remember the real estate crash back in 2008, 2009 and stuff?
Oh, yeah. Houses were just dirt cheap.
Yeah, but I was able to still make a profit and sell that house for more than what I bought it for because it was so nice and such a rare piece of property. And I sold it, and I packed up 27 dogs, 9 puppies, and 2 mules, and drove from New York to the Northwest.
Wow.
2,300 miles. Yep. Went to a place, landed in a town that I'd never been to before, in a state I've never visited. The only people I knew were from the internet that I bought dogs from. I landed there, walked into the house, and basically started crying. I left a pretty nice hand-built house and came into a shack that had the water heater and the furnace right in the kitchen. But that's the only place I could find that would let me move in with the situation I had.
With 27, however many dogs.
Yeah,
it was probably about 40 dogs, right?
No, I lied. I had 27 dogs, but I told them I only had this much, but anyway,
couple of little terriers.
Yeah, it's some terriers, and I had some foxhounds, coyote bred foxhounds, and I had stags, and one and an old lurcher that I had. Anyway, I just moved out there, landed there, and literally with the profit that I had from the sale of the house, I turned around and started coyote hunting with sighthounds 4 or 5 days a week for the rest of the winter. I landed there. I first moved in came there in October, and then fully moved in 100% November 3rd, 2010.
And when you say coyote hunting, you're talking strictly running dogs, no guns.
Strictly running dogs. Yeah. I'm not a big fan of killing. Not a big fan of killing coyotes with guns. Not because I'm a dog hunter. That's why I'm here. That's what it is for me. You know what I mean? It's like when you see somebody, kicking brush and shooting cottontails with a 410. It's like, can it get any gayer than that?
I don't know. Maybe you could do it with Harris Hawks.
Yeah. Or maybe you could do it at night with a thermal on. That's about it.
Well, talk about that. Me and you have talked in private a little bit about thermals and what it's doing to your sport.
Yeah.
So can you share some of that?
Oh yeah, it's the coyote numbers have definitely taken a hit. There's no difference between, let's call it sports, between falconry or running coyotes or digging with terriers or bird hunting with dogs or doing water retrieving or whatever, or beagle hunting. There's guys that are out there that are animals, that are beasts, that hit it every day and go after it, and they're all about it. Then there's lazy guys that just they're in it, they enjoy it, but they enjoy more of the camaraderie or talking about it, or buy a lot of things. I see a lot of guys do is they buy a lot of gadgets. You know what I mean? Like when they get into something, they got to get this, they got to get that, they got to get this, they got to get that.
Yeah.
And like my dad is a big time deer hunter, and for the first 35, 40 years of his life, he hunted with a 35 Remington Marlin, 35 Remington, but in a Marlin, lever action up in the Catskill Mountains up there. And he killed more deer with that, with this little bullshit $5 scope he had, than these guys that had, $2,500, $5,000 deer gun, So, anyway, that's the way I feel about so getting back to the thermal guys, it's very easy, or was very easy, for these thermal guys to drive up in an $80,000 truck, all jacked up on Mountain Dew and Adderall, and sit in the comfort of their truck and shoot 20 coyotes while the dog's asleep in the back seat, and go out at daybreak, or the next day, and pile the or at night, and pile the coyotes up, and with the dog in a sit stay, and with their their gay 15,000 AR, $15,000 AR, with with their another $10,000 or $8,000 thermal bullshit on it, and and turn around and look what I did. You know what I mean? Why they're listening to Jelly Roll or whatever the fuck his name is. You know what I mean? On the radio, they're killing coyotes at 400 yards out while the radio's on.
Yeah, they ain't listening to Willie and Waylon, that's for sure.
No. So anyway, they're out. They're doing that, but there are a couple guys that are down. And they use thermals and they use ARs during the day. But they use the decoy dog system, where they have dogs that are decoy coyotes, and those guys are fine with me. They go out and kill 20 coyotes, no problem, because they're using dogs and it's a skill, and the dogs have to be good, and stuff like that, even at night. And
I've got questions about the decoy dogs. Before I do, tell us about your Sitka suit.
My Sitka suit?
Yeah.
I don't even own one of them. What are you talking about? Well, that's the other thing. They got to go get, to go sit in their $80,000 truck. They got to be decked out in Sitka. You know what I mean? God knows that, they might have to step out of it to go drag the coyote back if they can't drive up to it.
Imagine getting blood on your Sitka suit. Be horrible.
Yeah. The Sitka, I have more respect for the guys that wear Sitka than the guys that wear the QU stuff.
Yeah.
Because those guys, I mean, my brother's into that. He's a big whitetail hunter, and I mean, he's got a pair of pants, and they're like $400 for a freaking pair of camo pants.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? Like he's got like $5,000-$6,000 worth of clothes on to sit in a tree and shoot. I mean, he gets after it though, like you were saying. My brother gets after it, but it's like, he's got a $3,000 bow, the outfit, the binoculars with the harness, and it's like, I'm like, dude, it's just like you were saying, just
my father and I used to put on, I don't know, 90 pounds, 100 pounds on our backpacks, our guns, in November in upstate New York and the Catskill Mountains, and hike back into the mountains, make a camp with a tent, then go hike back, carry our water and our food in, and stay there for a week and hunt out of that camp. Now, they make these garden sheds that are sitting on top of, you got to go buy a mini tractor to till over your food plot.
Yeah.
And you got whatchamacallit, you got your 10-year-old douchebag kid with the stupid haircut on his cell phone. Right.
I call that haircut the landowner's son.
Yeah. Sitting there with looking out the window, not even looking out the window, looking at their cell phones, why, God forbid they get out of Wi-Fi service. They don't have any service. You know what I mean? So
sounds horrible.
Yeah. So that's, I mean, I don't know. It's like the easier it gets, like even out here in Idaho, now with these side by sides. You can't even like. There's people there. There's deer getting killed by people that should not ever be allowed or could never kill deer. Now listen, a veteran comes back from some stupid war that we had him in, and he's torn apart and he's physically handicapped. You know, if I was able, I would carry him up the mountain on my back. You know what I mean? So I got no problem with him in a side by side going up the mountain to go hunting. You know, if he wants to, or you know, having special, you know, privilege. But some of these guys, you know, with elevated, you know, pre-diabetes, fucking, you know, take buffalo shits when they get up in the morning from whatever they ate the night before, you know, and you know, can't be away from, you know, they have to take a steady 3,000 calorie diet, you know, candy and cookies and shit while they're sitting in a fucking heated tree stand. And like, you know, I just want to like open up with my $10,000 AR and cut them down. So.
Yeah. So it's like, it's just, I completely am on the same page with you. Like it's
really the pussification of America. Just that's the hunting thing. You know what I mean? Like through hunting, you know, imagine I used to sit out with those green parkas that were paper thin that you bought at, you know, shit. You guys probably don't even remember this, like at a Walmart type store with the fake fur going around the rim, and these unlined green rubber boots with 3 pairs of cotton socks, some cotton long johns on, a pair of pants, and a sweatshirt on, gloves, and this jacket. And I'd have to walk up and down mountains all day long behind my father and grandfather, praying they'd never take me deer hunting again. You know what I mean? Never. Yeah. If we got something to drink or eat that day before we got back to the camp that night, I was happy. You know, they brought something along. Yeah.
That's awesome. It's not like that anymore. I have a pretty good litmus test for knowing if someone's full of shit, and it's if they're wearing one of those Bass Pro Shop hats. You know, like every fake wannabe outdoorsman, they all have one of those stupid hats. I'm like, bro, you don't even know what a fishing pole is, and you're wearing that hat. Yeah, man. I completely understand where you're. I'm on the same page with you. It's pathetic.
Yeah. We rail on the falconry equivalent of that from time to time on this podcast.
Here we go.
If you saw the stuff that Teddy and I wore when we hunted, and you know, you got a 7-pound dachshund down a hole in the middle of a, you know, ungodly thorn bush, you know, patch that you have to like go in and get there, get there and chop out a hole so you dig down to it. I mean, it was horrible. I mean, I remember when I found Filson and I got my first pair of Filson pants, and I was like, I thought I had died, gone to heaven. I mean, they were like concrete putting on, you know, and I wore those and with a Filson jacket, and you could walk through hell to get your dog, you know, and nothing would penetrate you. That's that. And I felt bad about buying that shit, you know? Yeah.
You still can't beat Filson.
Yeah.
You also can't afford it either. You ever look at those prices? Holy shit.
No.
I bought my first pair of chaps like 3 years ago. I used to just, my legs looked like I had some sort of a depression problem.
Yeah.
I'll just be completely cut up and destroyed constantly.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wear Dan's Briarproof made for coon hunters.
Yeah, that stuff is good, man. That's good stuff.
And it's not bad either. And, you know, the bibs, I think, were like $120. I wear the hell out of them for like 4 years, and by the time I throw them away, they look like they're made of buffalo fur.
Yeah.
So I had the question before I got you on the tangent. I had the question about the decoy dogs.
Right.
So that's just literally you take a sweet, vulnerable little dog that knows how to run back to you, and you stick it out there where the coyotes think they can get it, right?
That's it. Next question.
All right.
No, it's the breeding of those dogs now is really getting into a science, but the general deal on that is, any dog can do it, but there's a lot more to it than just going out and, making a coyote, because the dog has multiple jobs. Like, sometimes the dog's got to dispatch a wounded coyote because you made a bad shot because, you had too much beef jerky in your mouth. And then the next thing, or you're shaking from the Adderall. The other thing is, so it might have to dispatch the dog. Again, you might make another bad shot on the second stand, and now that dog's got to go find that coyote. And so there's a lot more to it than just, sending a dog out and, having recall and everything. And there's a guy, I believe his name's Joe Hartley. He's all over the internet, and his videos all over the internet of a dog that he owns. That, I mean, you got it. I mean, that thing is just, it's like watching Mike Tyson or Muhammad Ali in their prime. I mean, that dog is, I mean, he's something to watch if you really know what you're looking at. And anyway, that dog, I'm sure you've seen the videos of that dog coming back with 3 coyotes behind him and everything like that. And he knows just when to turn around. He knows just when to wink at the coyotes, get him to keep coming in close. And he's got it down.
Is that the dog that looks kind of like an Australian Shepherd?
It kind of looks like it's kind of a brownish
cattle dog, right?
Yeah, kind of like a wire hair type dog with brown faces. I bred that dog's father, and I forget who the dog's mother is, but Joe Hartley did all the training and raising of that dog, and man, that dog's really something. And then, of course, there's a bunch of them, and there's even a bunch that you never even see because these people don't like the internet, So
can't blame them.
Yeah, but yeah, with the decoy dog, it's not just one job. And then, in the wintertime, the dog's used as a recovery dog, to go recover game, or track, or, find a wounded coyote or stuff like that. In the springtime, it might go down in dens and kill coyote pups or bring coyote pups out and stuff like that. And then, of course, and then it'll decoy. So,
do you know anybody that's ever raised a coyote pup?
Oh, yeah, I know a ton of people that have. Yeah. There's good
what's
stories.
That like?
There's good stories and bad stories. Here's a Teddy story for you. We were hunting, and we had some guests with us, and the dog went down in a den in the springtime and bolted a vixen, red fox. So, and then went back in the den trying to figure out where the vixen went. So somehow we got it opened up, and there were all the cubs. There must have been I think there were 6 of them. So we took all the cubs and put them up on, to the dirt pile or this. Well, it was in the middle of the woods. And it was wasn't very deep as I remember. It's very, very, very shallow. And it was kind of like half under maybe a rotted log or something. Very easy to get to. We got all the pups out, got them laid out, and every single one of them was a male. Every single one. So we ended up taking 2 of the cubs and raising them. Our friend took a cub and put it on a dachshund, and that had pups. And then I took mine home and uh, raised it by the bottle. And mine became like a severe pet. And I'll never forget this. I had a puppy Jack Russell at the time. So I went to a very young Jack Russell, like 8 weeks old. So I went and got a white mouse, put the white mouse on the ground. And the pup must have been about 8 or 9 weeks old. And she's pawing at the mouse and barking it and chasing it all over my bathroom on this tiled floor. I lived in Mawa when I lived there. I lived in a mansion, and I lived in the master bedroom, and I rented out all the other bedrooms out to guys that worked at IBM. And so I had this huge bathroom that was like bigger than people's houses. And so the dog was chasing the mouse all over the bathroom. So I called my fox BW. BW was about 3 weeks old, and he had just gotten weaned, and he was on solid food. And he comes trotting into the bathroom, sees that mouse, runs it down, bites it, and before I can get to him, swallows it whole. And I go, holy shit, there's uh, lesson 1 of Mother Nature, of culling and genetics. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That fox never saw a mouse before, never even ate a mouse before. And he saw it, chased it, grabbed it, crunched it, and had it swallowed in 10 seconds. Tail hanging out of his mouth and the mouse down his throat. But getting back to the coyote pups, yeah, a lot of people raise coyote pups out here. And most of the stories I hear, well, not out here all over the country, but most of the stories I hear are there's wrecks at the end. They get aggressive. They start wrecking other dogs. They start going out. They're not afraid of men now. So now they go out and start wrecking, livestock or bite people and, stuff like that. Then there's other stories where, they're laying on the couch and, Seth Simpson has raised a bunch of them. Yeah. Yeah.
And I guess it's just a crapshoot. You're probably going to have a really bad experience, but you might have a random 1 or 2 here and there that are, for some reason, pretty docile.
The problem is now you raise them. Let's say everything goes great. Now you raise them. They're outside and they're doing this and doing that. Now you got, what are you going to do with it? Like it comes, you got to feed it. Now it comes running up to you, and you got to live in a situation where I live, where there's no, there's not, closest person is miles away, and so, the coyote goes traveling, it's going to end up getting, every cowboy and its mother carries a, rifle out here. So they just would end up shooting it dead, or, and then, it's fun, stuff like that. The dogs really differentiate against it. It's funny, and I first learned that with Teddy, where she would raise baby whatevers right inside her house with these. I mean, she had killer lurchers. I mean, they were killers, and they would see these baby woodchucks or baby raccoons and just look the other way, like, oh, yeah, I can't touch that. And yeah, that was it.
I guess that's the collie blood in them. Smart.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
So I've never asked you about this, but I've always been curious. What's the deal with truck terriers?
So basically how I started hunting coyotes out here is we'd get in a truck and we, drive out across the desert, and we'd see a coyote and, give chase to it with a truck, but also give it sport. Like you see a lot of videos now where these guys are trucking coyotes to death, and we call it bumper dumping, dumping the dogs right on top of the coyote, right off the bumper. And, again, it's gayer than AIDS. Uh, uh, but anyway, they we'd give chase and get the dogs within a sporting chance, 80 to 100 yards and dump, off the dump box. Uh, coyote hunting boxes are called dump boxes. They're different than hound boxes or dog boxes. You pull a string and the door comes down, or you push a button and it's electric and the door drops and the dogs go out. So we'd get into that and chase these coyotes, and they would turn around and, some of them would go down a hole, some of them go in in a pipe, road pipe, under a highway or a drainage pipe, and some would go underneath a barn or in a rock pile. So I started thinking, I'm going to turn around and I'm going to breed. I'm going to breed a cold bulldog. I'm going to start off the right size. I want it to be around 30 pounds, double tough, and I don't want any kind of dog aggression, um, for the most part. So I started making a lot of those. They've been around for centuries. The pitter pats, Patterdale pit bull crosses. I started making those and got into those for a while. So when we did have a coyote go to ground, or go someplace where the stags couldn't get it, we put the terrier on it. And it rides around in the front of the truck, so it was called a truck terrier. Now I didn't make that name. That came from the Midwest. They just called them truck terriers that that rode around in the trucks with them. So anyway, did that, and then I gave some dogs. I did a lot of when I was in New York. I ran a lot of bears with these big game curs and cur dogs.
That's cool.
And,
yeah.
And I
Casey's eyes just lit up.
Well, I see your videos, Casey, and I go, "Holy crap! I'd be in trouble down there."
Yeah, I'm borderline. I'm borderline having bad thoughts of doing things I shouldn't.
Yeah. Anyway, what we should do is run those bears and take their gallbladders, and it's a short ride to Canal Street in Manhattan, and sell them.
Yep. Sell the feet. Paw. What is it? Bear paw soup or something?
Yeah. Anyway,
we could buy your old mansion after a few.
Yeah, I was just gonna say we could buy that piece of property back in Westtown.
Yeah. But who wants to live under those dog laws? But
apparently,
anyway,
I guess.
Yeah. But anyway, I was there, and I was running these big game curs, and a couple curs made it out here with me, and I had a litter, and I gave a pup to somebody, and then this cowboy came and got another pup from me, and this time it was a pitter pat. And that pitter pat was a bitch, probably about 19, 20 pounds, and this cur dog was about 65, and they had puppies. And I got one of the puppies back that went to a good friend of mine. And I didn't see the dog for, 8 months. And he came to my house to go hunting, and he showed me the dog. And I was like, I mean, the proverbial getting hit over the head with a hammer and a light bulb going off. I was like, that's the dog right there. That's the dog. Meaning these truck terriers, this dog could track game, could tree game, could, they're fairly tough and could dispatch or hold or harass animals till you brought muscle, and coyotes, you brought muscle and stuff like that. And that was this guy. His name is Braden Minton. Still has a dog. Brought it over to my house and showed it to me, and I said, "That's it was just they're hands down." So just a better grade of animal than the ones I was making. Even though I bred the two dogs that made that dog, I bred them, but this dog, those two breeds combined, made a very good dog. So right away, I started adding that stuff into them, and they just took off.
So it's like the lurcher. Sounds like the lurcher equivalent of a terrier in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a large terrier for the most part. You know, you don't have to worry about doing groundwork or them going down a hole and digging them out for 5 hours. You know, um, but they're big enough to hold their own. With they're big game terriers. The short end of definition of it. So that's the deal with the truck terriers, and a lot of people picked them up, started doing decoying work with them, and trailing game, and using them for bear hunting. I mean, I got dogs. I've bred dogs that have been used for hog hunting, bear hunting, uh, decoying coyotes. You know, everything, everything you can imagine. So far, they've pretty much been going, but I don't think they've been used for falconry yet. But I can see not why not if the guy was a good handler and raised the pup with the bird.
Yeah. What have you done any work with Yog terriers? Because it's not what you're describing. What you're describing and what you need kind of sounds like a Yog to me, not knowing too much.
Right. Yog terriers. I have a Yog terrier at my house right now. It's called Bronson. I got him from Chad Reynolds.
Yep.
Who's also a falconer down in Colorado, Utah border. Anyway, I got him from him, and he breeds a bigger, or he hunted and bred bigger Jag terriers, and that's the problem. Those are hard to find. Now you can find, quote, and I'm making quotation marks, big Jag terriers every day of the week, but they're not Jag terriers. They're crossed with cur dogs or Feist or whatever. And but Chad bred big, like this Bronson dog is in the 40s. And if you're going to hunt big game with a terrier, you need a dog, of a decent size. And most Jag terriers, Casey, are not that big.
Right.
They're not that big. The standards call for what, I'm not sure what the standards are, but they're not over 30 pounds, for the most part,
Okay.
Yeah.
So he just bred them. He bred them specifically to be larger, or he just has.
He was a hog hunter from Louisiana, so he used them on hogs and everything else. And so the larger ones did better, of course, because they can hold a hog down better than a 20-pound dog,
Right. Yeah.
But basically, if the, if I could have got my hands on these large Jag terriers, I would. Excuse me, I would have never bred truck terriers. Never.
Okay.
Because when you breed dogs, unfortunately, there's always going to be an overflow of puppies. So you have a litter. You really want to get this litter on the ground. You have these litter of puppies, and you got this and got that. Then Tom, Dick, and Harry back out.
Yep.
Boy, howdy, don't I know it?
Yeah, because their wives told them to. Again, that's gay. Anyway, so now you're stuck with these dogs, and can you imagine? So there's a market to get rid of purebred Jag terriers, with paperwork. But you turn around and say, hey, this dog's quarter Jag, 33% Kemmerker, 14% Patterdale, 2% Whippet, and 14% Monkey. They're like, does it come with APC paperwork? No, you idiot. So
suddenly it's just a mutt.
Yeah. I'm sure you guys experience it, but like some of these, internet homos, they need a story. You have to turn around and tell them a story about a dog. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You got to they got to, its mother killed a leaguer, and its father, was used in Siberia for, tiger, and, so
yeah.
That's why you want a puppy out of it.
Is culling a thing still these days?
Culling. What do you mean culling? Mean culling getting rid of dogs?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay. Just thought I'd ask. Do you know anything about, like, I know, like, cause I've heard, yeah, we don't have to touch on that. It's fine. So I've heard,
hey, Casey, what the fuck do you think?
I think I know the answer to that.
Let me put it to you this way. If you're breeding hogs for market, greyhounds, quarter horses, anything, the betterment of the breed depends 1000% on selection and culling, period.
Okay.
And a lot of guys get into breeding dogs and they can't handle the dirty end of it. And it's a horrible end. And, but there's a need for that.
Got it.
I'm
Yeah.
sure these guys that breed goshawks, have a clutch of eggs, raise the babies, and the babies are mediocre. You sure as shit don't want them being bred. But
Yeah.
the unscrupulous bastard will send it to what's that guy's name?
Harrison.
Harry. No, Harry Dobby or whatever his name is. Darby. Yeah, there's some guy like that will buy it with, right?
Yeah.
What's his name? Is his Harrison?
Yeah, it's
Harry,
Harrison.
or what's his? Sorry.
We call him Young Harrison.
Yeah, Young Harrison.
That triggers him. He hates it.
Yeah. No,
that's so funny.
He's doing a good job with that lurcher puppy he got. So
he is, and I hope he realizes I was not dumping a dog on him. Like, that was a tremendous pup, and I think he needed it, and I knew he would put the work in for it. Yeah. He has more time than I do. I've already got my hands full with the female lurcher pup I have, and the Whippet, and the 17 dachshunds.
Yeah.
So he certainly has the time to invest in a dog like that. And he loves digging. He's out with Teddy constantly. He only lives like an hour from her. So he's just he's just like a sponge with Teddy, just learning a lot. And
that's exactly
trying to get into it.
Exactly the term I was going to use. He better inhale every fraction of a second when he's in that woman's presence, because it's like, Jesus of earthwork has come down to, landed on earth and is, showing him the way, because that's the way. That's how I learned, and I've been very fortunate with my mentors. She mentored me with the sighthounds and the terriers. Shawn O'Neil mentored me with the hounds, with the foxhounds, coyote hounds, and I learned a lot from Dan Edwards, and I never stop learning. I always have my eyes open and always looking to learn something new, or see a different dog, or meet a different person.
Yeah, so, that's awesome. That's a good way to be, man.
Yeah.
There's nothing worse than to stop learning and assume you know everything. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people in our world that think they have it all figured out.
Oh God, yeah. I just got rid of a know-it-all, and it was the worst. Let me tell you, the absolute worst. So,
and nobody likes to know it all.
Yeah.
One thing that we jumped ahead on, and you had said you would say something about that, was you said you got bankrupt by racing greyhounds.
Yeah.
I'm sure you love to talk about that.
Oh no, I do, because greyhound racing is dead, and it's barely hanging on by a thread in the United States, and that's unnecessary, unfortunate, I should say. But if it could help somebody else out in a similar situation, so I turn around and I run into a guy. I run into some guy from Long Island, and he goes, "Hey kid, you want to partner up with me with this greyhound?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'll do it." And I said, "What's the deal?" And he goes, "Well, she's going to be down here at this farm and whatchamacallit, and we can co-own it, and we split the litter and do this and do that." So I say, okay. I go, how much do you need? He goes, give me $1,000. So I give him $1,000, and I call my mentor in the greyhounds, Steve Cooper. I go, hey, what's the deal? And he goes, Shawn, you just felt this. He goes, a pot of gold just fell into your lap. Do exactly whatever David said. I said, okay. So 2 weeks later, the guy David calls me, my partner in this greyhound, and goes, hey, I'm in rough shape, man. Do you got another 1,500? And I'm like, well, for what? Like, what's going on? And he's like, I needed to pay this and that. And I said, give me the number of the farm. So I call the farm, and this guy hasn't paid the bill, the boarding bill, in months, and they're behind. And so I go, what are you going to need to make it right? And they go, this much money. I said, okay, I'll call you tomorrow. So I called David. I said, David, look, man, this is what's going on down there at the farm. You're behind this much. They're about ready to those dogs are NGA, National Greyhound Association registered. They can petition the NGA and take over ownership, like a mechanic putting a lien or taking over your car if you leave it there after he works on it or something.
Right.
So at that time, I turned around and gave David some money. He gave me full ownership of the dog, and I paid off the board bill. Can't remember this dog's name. I apologize. But anyway, I turned around and I go to Steve Cooper, who's the number one dog in the country. And they said, I can't remember that dog's name either. Anyway, a very famous dog. And if I said the name, you guys might even know him. And so I arrange a breeding. I have the breeding, and the guy who ran the farm, his wife was very nice, very sweet lady, nice, kind of like Aunt B from Mayberry. But he was a dead serious, no bullshit Oklahoma cowboy. And so when he called, he just loved calling back up to New York and New Jersey to talk to all of us, about our dogs, you know, and the bullshit and everything. So I was warned not to talk to him too much. So the phone rings one day, and it's him. He say, hey, Shawn, you got a minute? I said, yeah, sure. What's going on? He's like, you want to sell this dog? I go, no, I don't. He goes, Shawn, this dog, first time out, almost broke the track record at my house, meaning breaking the box, going from the whirly gig. There's a thing called a whirly gig that they train on. Well, first they put them in a field and they live jack them. It means they got a 5-acre pasture filled with jackrabbits. And there used to be a job down there in Oklahoma and in Texas, Kansas, by trapping jackrabbits and bringing them and selling them to greyhound farmers. So they fill this field with jacks, put the pups out there and let them chase them and catch them. And once they killed Jack, caught the Jack, killed it, they took the dead Jack and tied it to the whirly gig, which is like a 30-foot, 40-foot circle with a pole hanging off the middle with a car axle in the middle of it and double fenced all the way around. And they take the dog, make it break the box, and chase the dead jackrabbit hanging off the pole in the middle of the track. And once they got good at that, then they went to the live track, the big track, the real track. Well, it's a training track. And they break the box there and chase a mechanical lure or a dead jackrabbit on the mechanical lure around the inside, like a regular greyhound track. So he said, this dog just almost broke the track record. And I said, okay. So I named him Hop on Pop and got him sent back to me. And he went and won his maiden race and everything. So I made a lot of money. And his sisters and other dogs ran good. And I made a lot of money. And, I started thinking, man, I really got this greyhound thing down, and I know what I'm doing, and I make this much money, and I know everything about greyhound racing. Well, so I get this other female, and they had this Irish dog that was over here that was like in the top 5 studs. Irish, this Irish dog, I forget his name. Anyway, I decided to breed to him because this it would compliment this dog or that dog. And so right away, they're like, the guy Steve called me up and goes, "Hey, your dog's bred like this. People that got dogs bred like that are not breeding to that Irish dog." I said, "Well, it's, nobody's tried it yet." And I go, "Oh, they've tried it. You just don't know about it." And I went ahead and did it and raised the whole litter. But now the whole litter's in Oklahoma. So now you're getting charged for another litter. The ideal situation is to have dogs on the track making money so you can support your dogs in Oklahoma.
Right.
And my dogs started to grade off the track. They started to get old and started to lose races and go to B, C, and then D and grade off and stop making money. So I started reaching in my pocket, paying for the dogs down in Oklahoma. And that's where I went bankrupt.
God.
When I say bankrupt, I mean, I just, said, "Hey, here's the paperwork to the dogs. I can't pay for them anymore." And I signed the dogs over to the farmers,
Wow.
and that was that. And I was out of greyhound racing. So,
So
I never forgot.
I'm surprised you didn't just move into an apartment and get a cat.
Do I look gay to you?
Yeah, I don't think a man should own a cat personally.
No.
It's not right. It ain't natural. No, I'm just kidding.
It ain't natural.
It sounds like
Man, with those supposed to have a cat. It ain't natural.
Shawn, so like it sounds to me like you have to have a lot of trust in these greyhound farmers, right? Because they're doing a lot of the breeding, they're raising
Casey, there's been horror stories where, listen.
Okay.
Just like boarding kennel, like all of a sudden you go to the boarding kennel and you find out that the guy hasn't been there in 2 days and the dogs haven't eaten and they're up to their hocks and shit. And, it's the same thing with these greyhound farms, these guys it's a big job taking care, like to make money at those greyhound farms and be competitive. You got to raise a lot of dogs and you keep and train a lot of dogs. It's, you got to wake up and look at it like it's a full-time job, 7 days a week, like being a dairy farmer. And, these guys, they might take Sunday off or they might do this, that's okay. But, you got to be on it. Those pens got to be clean. They got to be this, they got to be that. They got to be fed, they got to be fed a certain diet. It's not going out there and pouring kibble. They're getting flesh every day. I mean, they're almost eating like a hawk.
Right.
And to make good dogs anyway. And, then all of a sudden, they would, some of these farmers would stumble and then you would hear about, hey, the Humane Society just showed up, to a greyhound farmer down in, so-and-so Oklahoma. And there's, 25 dead dogs in a pen and
oh my God,
guys nowhere to be found and, or whatever, and that was just more cannon fodder for the animal rights people.
Now I kind of wanted to hear, unless Aaron has some other direction he wants to go, but I just wanted to, like, for me out east, and you're out there, living the dream, running dogs 4 or 5 times a week. Like what is like an average day leading into a hunt look like for you?
Get up in the morning and get the dogs. Well, I hunt. The way I hunt now is completely different than the way I hunted when I first came here. When I came here, I hunted out of other people's trucks. I didn't have my own vehicle. And, I really did not pay attention. I was just happy to be in the truck. And basically, we hunted all over the place. And we hunted where we saw a coyote. We'd go chase a coyote, drop the dogs, catch the coyote, and move on and get the next coyote. And then we got into trophy trucks or, sand rails or dune buggies where they would have greater travel on the suspension. This one truck we hunted out of had 500 horsepower, and we would, go flying across the desert at 50 miles an hour and, going over 3-foot ruts. And, we could see a coyote a mile off and catch it, catch up to it and give the dogs law and drop the dogs and do it. Now I hunt. Now I didn't really pay attention, but so I went out and got my, got my own truck and started doing that. And I realized that you have to have a serious full-time job just to keep the truck going, because you're taking these trucks and going across the desert and breaking all kinds of shit everywhere. Right. Breaking them up and beating them up, flipping them over, catching them on fire. So, my friend with the trophy truck, name was Todd Capps, with the Honey Badger. The truck was called the Honey Badger. Kind of bred his wife about 4 or 5 times, and had a pile of kids who were doing football and soccer and, whatever. So he couldn't go hunting anymore. And so I had I couldn't stop. And, but I couldn't afford, or didn't want to. Well, I could afford it if I found an honest mechanic, but these mechanics were taking me to school, and I didn't have time to fix the stuff myself because I had to work. And, so I developed these dogs, and again, it was an accident. We call them special, and they're half foxhound and half running dog, or half staghound. And so what I did is I would see a coyote, and instead of racing up to it and breaking the truck in half, I'd kind of just mosey up to it. And like he'd be standing next to a bush, next to a big rock, and I'd mosey up to that bush and rock, and that coyote would be a quarter mile away now, trotting away thinking he's safe. And I'd drop these specials on the ground. They'd smell that coyote and just go after him. And I have a big Garmin display, 7-inch Garmin display on my dashboard of this 1992 Chevy I drive. And I just watch them on that, and I follow them with the Garmin collars, and they get it bait up, and then I show up with the muscle and catch the coyotes that way now. Very enjoyable. They're very much enjoyable for me. But a typical day is getting up in the morning, collaring the dogs up, and trying not to lose your shit, and choke your wife, choke a dog.
That's tough, man. It's hard to do.
It's almost impossible. Anyway, we get up and then go find a coyote, and hopefully the truck doesn't break down, or you don't get stuck out in the middle of nowhere, because we hunt out in the middle of nowhere. Like sometimes we're 2 miles from a dirt 2-track, wow, or whatever. I mean, you could hike to it. It's not like, Jeremiah Johnson bullshit, but it's definitely not for the Wi-Fi boys.
Yeah, you're kind of screwed if you break down out there.
Yeah, so now you got to get back, and then you got to go get the other, your truck. Like this whole operation for me is you got to have a big diesel truck with a gooseneck that can haul your pieces of shit around and rescue you when you break down,
Right.
And so that's the thing. So you hopefully you don't break down. You catch a couple coyotes. Everybody makes it home. Everybody makes it back to the truck alive, and then you drive into town and talk a bunch of shit, and you start sharing immediately. And this is key. Immediately start posting everything you have the second it happens on the internet.
Absolutely.
Okay? That's
you gotta lay some hip hop behind it too.
Yeah. You gotta put you gotta put some rap, some Little Wayne or
What's some jelly
DMX
roll? Some jelly roll
jelly,
behind it.
jelly roll behind it. All people that would be welcome at your Sunday dinner table, and and you got to put that hardcore shit behind. That's another thing. These videos of 10 dogs choking a coyote out to Dr. Dre.
Yeah, drop it like it's hot.
Yeah, again, super gay. If you need 10 dogs to kill a coyote, go get some different dogs. But anyway, you start sharing shit right away, texting your friends. Look how great my dog is. Then you go raise your cholesterol and and impact your diabetes at a local diner. Then you go home and fall asleep on the couch and get up and check if anybody patted you on the back on Facebook and what a great job you did. And
otherwise, why would you do it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the best things that's ever happened to the hunting community was Facebook because it made everything worthwhile.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It gave us a purpose, gave us a reason to get up in the morning.
Yeah. And it makes it so much easier to buy Sitka or, some $8,000 thermal scope that Joe Blow has. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You'd love this. Have you seen the thermal drones yet?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Me and Casey got to see one firsthand, but using that for scouting for rabbits, me and Casey are just like salivating over that, but neither of us want to drop $6,000 to find more rabbits.
Yeah. Yeah. It's better. I mean, like going out there, half society, like, so much, a high percentage of society is on, Xanax and fucking Red Bull and chewing tobacco and whatever shit that will kill you. You know what I mean? And all these altering drugs. What's a better drug than going out with dogs and literally beating the crap out of yourself? Pushing through bushes and crossing streams with your shit over your head, so it doesn't get wet, and getting your dogs and coming home tired. That's the real drug. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the problem. That again, the pussification of America on every level, but the hunting, the level we guys, us, we're into is, what we're into is, this, and I'm just making me sad. I'm about to cry right now just thinking about
it. Yeah. Have you, Shawn? Have you lost a dog in the pursuit of game?
I've lost a dog in everything, every perceivable way you can imagine, except bird hunting. Because bird hunting doesn't, like, I literally live in the duck hunting mecca of Idaho. And I literally have, at times during duck season, 500 ducks, 75 yards on a wild ass stream behind my house that you could fly a bird to or, whatever. Right.
Yeah.
And I just have for some reason, it just doesn't like make me want to get up in the morning.
Right.
But yeah, I've lost it. I lost them digging. I lost them running. I've lost them. I used to run a 200 dog guard dog kennel in Newark, New Jersey. And I've lost them, shot, stabbed, killed by other dogs, beaten to death. Yeah. Every which way. Yeah. Yeah.
Have you ever had a coyote kill a dog?
Terrier. Yeah. 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 I had a Patterdale. I had this Patterdale. It was the first Patterdale I ever got. And her name was Gogo. And you can ask Teddy about her. She was a dog. a dog. She was hard when she needed to be hard. She knew when to pick her spots. She lived to hunt, and so I did a couple years down, out and around Newark, running that guard dog company, and that dog had to do a couple hard years down there. Being kenneled a lot of times and not getting out as much as she should have.
Yeah.
And I would do that, and I finally go and buy this place up in Westtown, New York. I turn around and get there. It's the first weekend. I build my kennels, and I let her out, and I go for a walk in the woods. And this coyote comes up and literally snatches her and runs off like a kid carrying a Tonka toy.
God.
Just runs away. And I just, like, literally, this dog was like, let's see, that was 2000. Dog was probably coming up on 10 years old, still usable. She had been through the mill. I got a great story about that with her. And vet story in New Jersey. And shout out to Oradell Animal Hospital. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah. There's
anyway,
there's snakes over there.
Yeah. So anyway, I saw that, and I just stood there like, I cannot believe what happened, because you'd think, I mean, she was 16, 17 pounds of, rock hard killer terrier. That coyote handled her and killed her and ran off with her. Like, he literally grabbed her, picked her up in her jaws. It was a big male coyote. They had a den close by the way, and with pups, because the guy that lived there was a school teacher from New York before me, and he was an Irish guy. His name was John Kelly. And he was a school teacher from New York. I think he might have been a gay man too, Casey, but he was basically, and I'm not exaggerating this, he was probably on the level with a Shaolin monk. He lived during the week, and this was a country home to him where I moved to. And during the week, he lived in Canal Street and was like this unbelievable kung fu guy, like crazy. And but he would, if there was a fly in the house in Westtown, he would capture the fly alive and let it go outside. He would not hurt anything. So when I moved there, when I went to go look at the place, you laughed this story, I'm getting off on a tangent. I get there, there's deer, like, it was like a scene out of a movie. There's turkeys sitting on the deck, deer running across the front yard, squirrels, 10 million squirrels, rabbits all over the place. I was waiting for a monkey to jump out and give me a hand job. Anyway, so I buy this place and immediately kill everything. Okay, with the dog.
Yeah.
Anyway, I turn around and that coyote handled that terrier like it was a toy, and I went on a rampage from then on, got into coyote, really switch gears from woodchucks, coons, foxes to coyotes, and started hunting them as hard as I could, and that's when I got into hounds. So yeah, I've had dogs killed by coyotes, or dogs chasing coyotes get killed. Yeah,
jeez,
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, it happens. If you're in the field long enough, as we say in falconry, something's bound to happen.
Oh,
I know. Teddy talks about one of her dachshunds that was taken by a coyote, and now she just loves when you send her videos and pictures of your dogs on coyotes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I can't
believe no joke.
She hasn't had more dogs killed, by coyotes, especially. She lived in, when she was in New Jersey, she was in heavy black bear country, and I used to train my cur dogs around her place, and used to catch a lot of, run a lot of black bear there. And I'm surprised they never came in and, killed their dogs. Plus there's coyotes there too. But
it's dangerous to be a 7-pound dachshund.
Oh yeah. Well, that's what I did is I bred. You guys ever hear of the Presleys down in Maryland? Marvin Presley and Floyd Presley, the president of the club.
Marvin actually bought a dachshund from me.
Right. So Teddy knew Floyd, which is Marvin's dad, and we went down to Floyd's house and saw his terriers, his hawk, and his rat colony. And I saw that rat colony, and I basically about freaked out. I'm like, this is the greatest idea since, sliced bread. So then we go over to Floyd, and he had a litter of lurchers that he had gotten from Teddy. And Teddy was promised one as a payment, but Teddy didn't want it, so she was giving it to me. And we went down there and stayed with Floyd, and Floyd raised den terriers. Floyd and Marvin raised den terriers, and Marvin raised the best den terriers you ever saw. And anyway, I started raising den terriers. So when I moved out to Idaho, I had a den terrier, 25-year den terrier line. And I had these things dialed in. I mean, they were the shit. I'll pat myself on the back, but there was a lot of mistakes made and a lot of culls. But I had these dogs, these little den terriers dialed in. And when I get out there, I realized when I got out west here, I realized everything that I go, my 90-pound stags want to eat them. The coyotes want to eat them. The great horned owl. I mean, I have great horned owls come down and kill stag puppies and fly away with them.
God.
Everything under the sun will eat these little 8-pound dogs, 9-pound dogs, 7-pound terriers. So I sadly had to discontinue that breeding program, and I went up to Boise and put them up on a plane and shipped them out all over the country. And the den terriers, as we know it today, are basically extinct. Really sad, but they were great falconry dogs too, But then again, when you breed a mini dachshund and you have a litter of pups, and Joe Blow says that he wants one, and then his wife goes, "No, you can't have one now. We have to go to Mexico, to Cancun." They turn around and you're stuck with it. But with a den terrier, who are you going to sell it to? Unless you're in a Walmart parking lot selling them out of a crate out of the back of your Subaru. A dachshund, shit. You just put it up on the internet and it's sold in 2 seconds.
Yeah, that's I was going to say the coyote thing is something that crosses my mind every single day of my life, because I got coyotes all over my area, and when they're out in the yard peeing, I mean, I'm just watching constantly, because I'm just, I've heard horror stories from Teddy and other people, and even in the field. And like you said, I'm surprised because my dogs are, 300 yards away from me opening, you know what I mean? And it's just how is that not attractive to a coyote,
You got coyotes around your house, Casey?
Oh yeah. I got coyotes around my house.
Yeah. When you let them outside, or whatever you do, get a paintball gun.
Paintball gun.
And do you live? You got neighbors close by? Or?
I can shoot right off my porch legally.
Oh, okay, good. You're good to go then.
Yeah, no paintball guns here.
All right. Yeah. No, I thought for some reason maybe you had houses on either side of you or something.
I have houses close by, but they're not close by. I mean, my closest neighbor is probably 100 yards from my house. So I got 4 acres. So it's not 60 like yours, but I'm spread out, and it's not Bergen County, so
Yeah.
I have some more space here.
Yeah, excellent.
But yeah, I just only can imagine what you went through losing that dog, because if I lost one of my dogs that way, I mean, I would do exactly what you did. I would
It
just
literally was like 30 feet in front of me. That coyote walked up, did not gave no cares that I was there, and walked up and picked up that hardcore terrier like it was a toy and just walked off with it. And I immediately reverted back to that fox eating that mouse, and I was like, "Oof," we as mortal men with our domesticated dogs are way behind the curve.
yeah.
When it comes to genetics and Mother Nature. So
Yeah, 100%. And but I feel like we do have a slight advantage because, being smart and being able to breed and, get characteristics in dogs, we can create something that is unique to nature that in a lot of ways is superior to nature. Like, I mean, I'm just thinking of a stag hound, like standing there, that thing could pretty much kill, if you get a few of them, you could pretty much kill anything.
Yeah, Casey, the rule we run them in sets, which are 3 dogs. Preferably, it's nice to run 2 dogs. Again, guys that run 3 or more dogs, on a single coyote is gay. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'm putting that on a T-shirt. 3 or more stag hounds on a coyote is gay. And anyway, not more than 3, I should say. So you run them in a set, and the sets are matched. The smart hunters will turn around and put a dog that's very fast that can catch a coyote. See, there's a million dogs out there, guys, that can catch coyotes, catch them all day long. I mean, catch a good coyote too, but they can't kill them. Then there's a million dogs out there that kill any coyote they get their mouth on, but they ain't catching a good coyote, or they ain't even catching a coyote. So you're always, as a staghound breeder, you're always striving to get that perfect machine. But then you have to turn around and really be diligent about not, to find out what you're feeding. You got to turn around and be diligent enough and use self-control, not to dump, 15 dogs on a coyote. You know what I mean? Like, how do you even know what you're feeding? You know what I mean?
Right.
So
that makes sense.
That makes perfect sense. And for the listeners, that means being able to see, running less dogs, you can see, more characteristics of each dog to know if it's worth keeping around and keeping in your kennel.
Have you ever noticed guys that have, big sighthounds, turn around, they'll get on like this used to happen all the time when we were hunting woodchucks with, we call them Teddy and I used to call them tourists. And those were the people from the club. Okay. Right. Jack Russells. And we turn around and take these people out, and we dig down to the terrier, and we remove the terrier. And the terrier now has done his job. That's it. Done his job. We're down there, and there's that. So now the lurcher goes in and draws the woodchuck out. And these people would turn, their terriers loose. So now the lurcher's trying to kill this woodchuck with, 4 tampons hanging off of it. You know what I mean? From the Jack Russell Club. Now the dog's, had a 12-pound animal trying to kill or going to kill. Now it's a 40-pound animal he's slinging around trying to kill it. And it's, when you really see a professional crew go out and really down, like I hunted with a lot of terrier people that some of them were very professional, and your dog would locate and they immediately go tie their dogs off, tie them back.
Yeah.
And it should be that way with dachshunds too. You turn around, you have a bunch of dachshunds you're hunting and you're free casting, and the dog marks a hole. Boom, respect to that dog that marked. Pick up those dachshunds and let that dog work that quarry. And don't put another dog behind it. Whatever. I'm a big man. I'm a big believer for low numbers of dogs working, so you can see exactly what the dog's doing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I find it more enjoyable to not have to manage a huge pack of dogs in the field too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I was out on a tourist dig one time, and a very well-known Englishman uh, uh, broke, there's chaos going on, chaos. And this guy broke the back of my terrier with a digging bar.
Oh, my God. Come on.
Broke it all. Yeah.
I'd break his back with the digging
I'd
bar.
fucking put him in that hole right there.
It was an accident. Yeah. So,
oh my God. Yeah, I've heard stories.
Yeah.
Teddy's told me some stories. That's brutal.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so anyway.
Yeah, chaos is never good. Yeah, there's etiquette to running dogs, and a lot of people they're just they're not informed on the correct, like it happens a lot, and I can only speak for what I do. I don't do anything like what you did, but when you're working a hole and you got this guy trying to throw his dog in there because he wants his dog to get some action, and I'm trying to clear the hole to get, to let my dog in, and then his dog runs in, and then it's like in the hole, guarding the hole. And then, another guy goes to the exit, here's an exit, and starts trying to shove his dog in the exit. And, the hawk's sitting above us. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what are we doing? Like you think people know what you're supposed to do, and they just don't.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's where, again, I'll go back to, I was very lucky with my mentors. They taught me the right way to do it. And, the right way to do it. And, the etiquette and respect the quarry. That's another big thing with me. When I see guys out and they disrespect the quarry, abuse it, or do stupid shit with it after it's dead, or, stuff like that. I don't like that at all. You know what I mean? It's like, to me personally, the coyote is the greatest survivors of forever. They can live anywhere. They do anything. The deal.
Yeah.
And, look at wolves, how easily they were pretty much wiped out. And if we wanted wolves gone, they'd be gone. If we wanted coyotes gone, I mean, we pretty much do want them gone, and they're still here, alive and well.
No, they listen, out west here, boys, they fly them with airplanes. Now they got the gay boys, thermal gay boys, and the government, flies them out here. They got paid government hunters that fly them with a plane out here and kill, 50 a day, sometimes 25 a day, when they're calving. When they're calving, listen, that shit's got to be done. There's ranchers out here that are turning around and, they're losing calves. Coyotes are just, eating calves and tearing at the afterbirth, once the mother's laying there and stuff. So they got to be dealt with. I understand that. But, these other guys that, turn around and they're on TikTok, looking at their phones, looking through the thermal, drinking their Mountain Dew, jerking each other off, playing tummy sticks, whatever they're doing, they're dressed, pulling their Sitka pants down around their ankles.
That's what they make Sitka so it comes off real easy.
I know. Like Velcro, right?
Easy access.
That's what I heard.
We were talking about coyotes and how it's so hard to get rid of them. There's a great book. I don't know if you've read it, Shawn. It's called Coyote America. It's a good book.
I've heard of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Great book. He breaks down like scientifically why. He gets a little spiritual with like Native American stuff and whatever, but he breaks down scientifically why it's like basically impossible to remove coyotes completely from any landscape whatsoever. That they'll always recongregate, and the female, when she's howling, and yipping, and she doesn't hear a response, her body will create more follicles to have more pups because there's a need in the landscape. Something crazy like that with the science behind it. It's pretty fascinating stuff.
Yeah. They're going to adapt to this thermal thing. And, adapt to it. And I can tell you this from experience. There's guys that have hunted coyotes and killed a lot more than I have, in my lifetime. But they probably agree with me. But the minute you teach a coyote, well, you make a mistake. You teach a coyote only needs a split second to learn a lesson, and once it does that, it's over. You're never going to catch that coyote. Never going to catch it.
Yeah, they're
so
slick.
when you see coyotes get up and start, hauling ass out of a field in broad daylight, running for their lives, getting up from when their naps because your truck just pulled in through the gate, there's something wrong. That there's somebody been through there with a rifle or, whatever, chased them with the truck, or, farmers or ranchers chased them with the truck or something. And so, that's all it takes is just once to learn like that, So they're incredible animals, incredible.
I got more respect for them when I watched my friend Titus fly his eagles after them. Those fuckers can run.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, like half the stuff on the internet that you see with the eagles, I don't know if it's real. Like now I don't know if it's real or not real, or it's a baggie or not a baggie, or has the coyote been compromised, kept in a wooden box for 6 days, then turned loose with no water? Who knows? I don't know.
He has caught, I'm just going to estimate maybe a dozen coyotes, honestly, caught them with eagles.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he said most of the time that they were a fair, not a pup, but a younger one.
Yeah.
And the eagles won't commit to it. At least what I saw with his and what he told me, they won't commit unless they can grab the coyote by the face.
Yeah.
So, and they're so ridiculously fast, so clever. They know exactly what they're doing.
Yeah.
It's crazy because they've never been hunted by an African eagle at night with a Danish military vehicle flying after them, with lights.
Yeah.
But they still have a plan.
He's not that old guy on the internet that holds them on his arm and throws them out the window.
No, that guy's cool. I think he's from another country. That guy. I know what video you're talking about. And he goes up to it. And he slits the fox's throat with his knife.
Yeah. The channel is The Night Crew, and they go out with him a couple times, and I'm sure you know who they are and don't like them because they're thermal guys.
Yeah.
But the episodes with him are pretty neat.
Yeah.
So I gotta check that out. Checking out. So are there any dogs that you've ran and worked with just about anything? Is there anything out there that you would like to get your hands on?
Yeah. The hell are those dogs that look like greyhounds from see, I'm afraid to mess with my phone while I'm talking to you and I can look it up, but basically for all intents and purposes, African greyhounds I'd like to mess with and see what they're all about. And I forget what they're called. There's a particular name that they're called, and there's on my hunting board. There's a guy named from Africa that raises them and catches jackals with.
Is it Azawak or something like that?
No,
it's Azawakh.
Yeah, shit. I can't. You could tell if you know what you're looking at. They look slightly different than American greyhounds or European bred greyhounds. And
I just searched African greyhound. I see Sluey. Is that it? Maybe.
No, it's not a Sluey. I think they're called boarhounds, to tell you the truth. You know what I mean? I think it's Africa's version of a staghound. I think they're called, but there's a African name for it, but the translation is boarhound.
Does anybody in America have those?
Oh, guys down in the Southwest have imported them in. A couple guys have brought them in, but not enough to give a decent, you know what I mean? Decent review on them.
It's not a black. I don't know how to say this. Borel Mastiff. It's not a Mastiff, right? I almost got killed by one of these dogs on a job site.
Borable.
Borbo you're talking about. Yeah.
Borbo, yeah. Yeah, I typed in boarhound Africa and that's what came up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Customer had one loose in his backyard, and I went to the supply house and came back in the dark and walked through the gate, and that son of a bitch was in the backyard loose, and it came straight at me, trying to kill me. And I freaking I did some Jason Bourne shit and got out of there.
yeah.
Just tossed myself through a window and freaking rolled down a flight of stairs.
Yeah.
Robert De Niro punched me on my stomach.
Yeah.
No.
A monkey ripped your dick off.
Monkey gave me a hand job while I was in midair.
Yeah. Anyway, there's a dog called an Ochaka. I pray that Teddy doesn't listen to this. Does she listen to this?
I don't know.
We hope not.
I hope not. If you're listening, Teddy, we apologize for our foul language.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
I was telling Paul Aaliyah the other day. You know the Aaliyah brothers?
I know them. They came in to Teddy's life right about when I moved to New York State, and they started hawking. Yeah, I know them. I've met him a couple times. Yeah,
they were when I had actually said I'm scared that Teddy's going to hear this podcast one day, and he goes, "Oh, she knows about it," and he goes, "I don't know if she listens to it," and I said something like, "Yeah, that bothers me," and he said, "Don't worry about her. She's seen and heard everything."
Yeah, but. I can tell you this: of course, if things have changed, but here's a funny Teddy story. Like, I have a mouth like a sailor. I'm a street guy from New Jersey, right? So I never cursed in front of her, ever, never cursed. I was always respectful, and there was an unspoken rule that that's the way it was, and I respect that. So we were on one of our many hunting trips, and we're in this Ford Escort. We're out in the countryside of, 6 hours from home, and we'd been hunting all day, and I fell asleep, and I think she had a tea and was, driving, whatever. I fall asleep in the front seat of the car, and I wake up, and I'm half asleep, and I kind of wake up. I wake up, I go, you know how big a Ford Escort is, right? Station wagon, right? It's not
small.
that big. Yeah, so I'm literally shoulder to shoulder with her. I wake up, I go, hey, where the fuck are we? And I go, oh, and I just went right back to sleep. I just pretended like I woke up and then went right back to sleep. Yeah.
I'm the same way with her. I'm foul mouthed, but
so
something about her, I always knew that I never wanted to, let it fly around her. That's for sure.
Yeah. But
yes, same here.
Yeah.
Just something about her commands respect from all of us.
Yeah, and I really enjoyed that because it really opened up another part of my brain, which I'm telling you, all the years I hunted with her and had to maintain that in my business life. Of course, I can't talk like that, and even though at my job I'm dealing with criminals and everything, but it made me able to pull it off in my my professional life also, and so I'm grateful for that.
Oh yeah. We didn't even get into your day job, which is pretty interesting, isn't it?
It can be. It can be stressful, interesting, dangerous, deadly, shitty. Basically, I'm a bail bondsman, and I try to assist people getting out of jail, and so they can be with their loved ones and family. but sometimes sometimes these people need help, and sometimes the people should be left right in jail. You know what I mean? So, and then of course, when you bail them out, and then they decide not to show up for court, that's when you have to go and hunt them down and do fugitive recovery, bounty hunting stuff. Like Dog the Bounty Hunter.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What a cool job. Any interesting stories?
Oh yeah. I don't know. I mean, like, I've been in 3 shootouts.
Oh my God.
Been in 3 shootouts. Fighting with people, tracking people down. I used to drive all over the country to capture people. And a good one, I caught a guy going back to Mexico, 400 feet from the wall. The wall in Mexico, in Arizona, trying to get back into Mexico. We caught him right there before we lost $35,000 if he had made it back to Mexico.
Jeez.
High speed chases, sitting in front of somebody's house for days, interviewing people, ripping houses apart, finding people hiding in in the weirdest spot. Basically getting a peek into people's lives and how other people live, and from the unbelievable to the downright disgusting, stuff like that.
Wow.
It's been, yeah.
Jeez, man, that's so cool.
We, when the drugs kind of went from, way back in the day, it was crack, and then it went to, can't remember what it was. It was crack, coke, crack, and then what? Crack. They went to opiates.
Yeah, right.
And once they went to the opiates, then they went to the painkillers because they couldn't get the heroin. Anymore. They got crazy on the pain pills, and they had to cut the pain pills back, and then they went to heroin again, and then it's meth now, meth and fentanyl, or it's basically fentanyl and everything. So, but when it went to meth, that made an addict a different type of person. Opiates are like, hey man, please, I don't want to go back. I'm going to get sick. To like, I'm going to fucking kill you. And, I'm going to kill you when I get out of jail, you motherfucker. I'm going to come to your office and, that kind of stuff. Crazy guys. And,
God,
that's where it really got hairy there for a couple of years. But now with the fentanyl craze coming in, people are it's more of an addictive, crazy high where they get so addictive they do crazy stuff, but they're not violent. It's not, for the most part, not violent. You know what I mean?
Right.
If they do crazy stuff, it's because they don't want to go to jail and get sick, and that's what happens with that. But I did that story, and then the other company I had was the guard dog business down in Newark, New Jersey, and man, I mean, that was a war zone. I'm sure, Aaron, you don't know Newark. Like, you heard of Newark, but I know Casey knows Newark.
Yeah, I refuse. I won't. I get calls at least once a week from people wanting me to go there to do jobs, and I just refuse.
Yeah, no,
Out of the question.
Yeah,
it's well known for being a really shitty place. Even I've heard of it.
Yeah, it's really not good. I've been sent there working for other companies, and I mean, you basically have to talk your way out of getting jumped to, like, you and another mechanic working in a piece of shit, Section 8 housing, and like you go out to your truck and there's like 4 dudes standing around the truck just kind of like hovering, and you need tools, and you walk over and somebody's got to watch while you're getting the tools, and you got to lock it. It's just It's like, get the hell out of here, man. I'm not going down there.
No,
Man.
not even worth going down there.
No.
But yeah. So
how did that work? You would train dogs to protect like junkyards and stuff, and then you would lease them to clients and then like maintain the dogs.
I don't know if you remember, Casey, but back in the 90s, they were given tax breaks to developers to come in there, and they would turn around and they'd come and knock an apartment building down, right? And get rid of, let's say, 30 families. Then they put up a fourplex, you know? So they're cutting the tax, and they give them tax breaks that they wouldn't have to pay taxes on this or that or whatever for a certain amount of time and getting people to come in there. So when they're displacing these families and building these new housing, they got everything was out of copper or aluminum, and anything that wasn't nailed down they would steal.
Yeah.
And so in the middle of construction, we put dogs in there and
That's awesome.
to protect the property, And so I had 5 guys, 200 dogs, multiple vehicles, and it was a war every day, back in those days. And the dogs that I had, that's where I found out about the Donovan pinchers that I now use into my truck terrier breeding program. And I was using Donovans back then, Rottweilers, basically anything that would wanted to bite a human,
Yeah.
And that's what I used. And we got a ton of bite cases down there, crazy stories down there. All these guys with the the small wiener problem. They go out and get these very macho presses, mastiffs, Rottweilers or anything.
Yeah.
Which I can tell, I've never met you guys personally, but I can tell that you must have very large penises because
we're swanging out here
because of the dachshunds that you guys carry around, that you're very confident in what you're doing. So anyway, these dogs, before the internet, I had yellow pages, and I put "We adopt aggressive dogs." So I had my ad in there. We go in there, and I get 3-4 calls a week. I go to some house, and this dog would have the whole family stuck in the kitchen and wouldn't let him come out.
Oh my God!
And you told me a story before about the Barbel. I had the same exact story. I don't know. Ochaka, Caucasian Ochaka. So this back up and around Irvington, there's a big Polish community, and this guy was a officer in the Polish military where there was a Russian base on there, and he immigrated to America from Poland and was living there. But when he was in the military in Poland on this base with the Russians had Ochakas, Caucasian Ochaka. So he bought a pair of them and brought them to the United States and had a litter of pups, and basically sold all these ticking time bombs to all these Polish people. So this one young Polish couple had a real nice house. And back in the day, the power company came to your house and read your meter, and that's how you got billed. And anyway, that's how it was, back in in the 90s, I guess. And anyway, long story short, this meter reader walked in there on this 10, 11-month-old Ochaka, and this Ochaka took him down and broke his orbit and punctured his lung. Pushed him around the yard like a whatchamacallit. So the city told this Polish couple, "Hey, get rid of this dog, bring it to the pound, have it put to sleep, or get rid of it. It cannot be in city limits anymore." And plus, the guy was going to sue them civilly and get their homeowners and everything, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So anyway, he gave the dog back to this Polish military guy. The guy contacted me. I went and got the dog and basically had him put my snare pole over the dog's head, and I walked him into the van, and I went to go put him in a Berry Kennel 500, and he just turned around and looked at me like, F you. Go ahead, put your hands on me and see what happens. So I got him into the van and left the pole on him. And so he's like up in the van, like where you slide side door, where you slide him. He's up. I got him to jump up in there. He's about 125 pounds. And I slide the door shut, and there's the metal screen divider between the front seats and the back where all the dog crates were for the van. So I get up in the front, and he's just sitting back there with the pole hanging down. I drive to the kennel, and I get to the kennel, and that was like if I brought one, I brought 1,000 tough guys, tough guys that thought they were tough, quote, the guys are dogs, at their house. And I bring him to my kennel, my guard dog kennel, and it was like bringing a tough guy from New Jersey into Rikers Island. You walk into Rikers Island, you go, oh shit, I'm in it now,
Yeah, right.
And so I bring 1 million dogs into this dog kennel, and you see their ears drop, their tail drop, everything, and being submissive and scared shitless. This Ochaka walks in like he owns the place, and I put him in a kennel, and I could literally break most dogs down no more than 3 days, where they'd get no food, just water, and they wouldn't get to do anything until they took food out of my hands, piece of hot dog or anything through the kennel. Once I got them feeding, they would let me open up the door and put a food dish down, and we'd start there and start training them, working them for the business. This Ochaka basically went on a hunger strike and was going to die before he let me touch him. He was going to die. So finally, he was laying on the floor, ready to, give up the ghost. And I went in there with a small thing of food and mixed, soupy mate with water. And I turned around and gave it to him. And he got up and ate it, and he wagged his tail a little bit, but I still couldn't touch him. But then he started allowing me to put a snare over his head. And I'd put a snare over his head, then I'd walk him and put him out on a job at night. And I'd come to the door in the morning, open up the door, put the snare out, and he'd put his head through it, and I could put him in the van. But then he turned on me one day, so I put him on a job where he stayed there 24/7 on a textile plant on McCarter Highway, just on the Belleville, Newark line there. I put him in the back where there's these railroad tracks, protecting the whole back of the plant. And that's where he lived out his life there, keeping people from breaking into the plant, So,
oh my gosh. So I was going to ask you that if you did any work with them, or you just cut them loose in a construction site.
That dog didn't need any training. Some dogs we had to train to bite. Not a high percentage of the dogs that we got would bite a human right off the bat. And I've had every breed. I've had standard poodles, labs. What's the lab? Chessies. A lot of Chessies bite people. And then back then the Rotties were the Rottweilers were, the it dog at the time. And so the market was flooded with Rottweilers. So we had a ton of Rottweilers,
so now,
German Shepherds.
I just have a quick question because I'm in construction, right? I'm a plumber. So, would you have to get to the job site at 5 a.m. to get those dogs off the job site before guys could go in and work? Because you can't just.
I had one night guy, Casey, that delivered all the dogs, and then I had 5 morning guys that would go out and start getting the dogs and putting them away, and getting the dogs, bringing them to the kennel, or we stored them on cages on site.
Okay.
Have you ever had logistical nightmare?
Yeah. High insurance, I would imagine, for your employees.
Most of all my employees were personal contractors. They had their own businesses.
Right.
I paid them that way.
Good.
My insurance for the business started off at under $100 a month, then went to $1,000 a month, and by the time I ended, there wasn't an insurance company around on the planet in any country that would insure me. That's one of the reasons I had to sell the business. Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. I had a pressa from Spain, and I had this really badass Rottweiler, and both of them were badass dogs. And I put them on a half a block construction job that was 3 houses, and the back of the houses went to an abandoned lot, and I had a dog back there called an alarm dog. He lived in a cage, and when the people came to the fence, he would bark and bring those 2 over there. So it was 3 houses in the middle of Newark. So these guys, of course, human beings are smart, very smart. They turned around and they went and harassed the dogs all the way in at the one end of the job, while 2 other guys cut a huge hole in the fence. So they turned around and started agitating the dogs all the way down the fence. And then the dogs turned around and walked right out the whole fence and are now loose on the streets of Newark, New Jersey.
Oh God.
So they, turn around and go inside and clean the house out. Okay. Start cutting all the wires out of the house, the pipes, everything. So I turn around and I get a call from the cops in the morning. Hey, are these your dogs? We need you to come get these dogs, or are these your dogs? I'm like, so I said, what's the address? So I know all the addresses by heart, and I know the area, which section in Newark or wherever. My guy, so I called my guy. I said, hey, my guy, what's going on? He goes, oh, Shawn, the dogs are not there this morning. I said, great. Why didn't you call me? And he goes, where are you? He goes, I don't know. I looked for them. I not find them. I go, well, they're there right now. So he goes there, and they go to arrest the guy, and the dogs are gone. So what happened is the dogs walked about 3-4 blocks away, got down on McCarter Boulevard, and it's about 4 a.m, and this woman comes walking out of a apartment building, hooker, prostitute, and the dogs attack her and go to Pound Town. And somehow the cops get the dogs to stop attacking the woman. In the midst of the attack, one of the dogs tears the breast of the woman almost completely off.
Jeez.
And so I had detectives and everybody, putting it to me. So this woman hires this attorney, and, we've been around the block a couple times with these insurance cases and stuff. And they're asking questions. Now, listen, do I think it's my dogs? I think it is. Am I positive? No. And, they don't have any pictures of it's not like today where they'd have pictures of the dogs and this, that, and everything else. The people in the neighborhood said those dogs came from there. So turn around, and the guy's trying to get me served for what's it called? When you go in with the court and you give a statement. God, I'm sorry, God, my brain.
Subpoena, deposition.
Yeah. Trying to serve me for a deposition. Over. Can't find me. Can't locate me. Can't figure it. Can't find me through DMV because I had all my personal vehicles registered in Illinois on purpose, and just could never find me. My company, my office number was a call center. Was forwarded. Was for my phone generated from the Ma Bell and was forwarded to a call center. They answered every call. I never answered my work phone, and they would call me or patch me through. So anyway, we had pagers. So anyway, this guy's trying to serve me, doing all this stuff, and turns around and finally gets the insurance company to contact me and set me up for deposition. Brings me in. I'm sitting in this high rise down in Newark, surrounded by a million lawyers, and this lawyer starts going off on me. And I'm just sitting there, just just sitting there, I thought expressionless, just watching them talk, 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 talk. So I listened to her deposition. Her deposition is she walked out of the building and the dogs attacked. A van pulled up, and the van had my company name on it. And the van, at that time, I had a wrapped van, which was unusual back in those days. Beautiful wrapped van with my company. It was great advertising. She described the van. So, tying me to the dogs. The van rolled up, door opened up, dogs jumped out and attacked her and did this to her. So the lawyer's sitting there with literally a baby bib on, drooling, because he's looking at me like, I got me now. So I'm sitting there looking at it, and I realized the van's been totaled in an accident, months and months ago. So I look at the date of when this dog attack occurred, and then I go back and I say, "Can we take a break, please?" And they're all looking at me like, "No, you can't." I go, "Listen, I have some evidence that's very important that I want to present." And the lawyer's like, "No, you can't." So my lawyer, not my lawyer, the insurance company lawyer said, "Yeah, go ahead." Got me in there. I ran down the street to my office, got the accident report with the pictures, and came back that I had submitted to my insurance company for the van being totaled, and showed that the van had been totaled 3 weeks before this girl got attacked. And then I showed him my DMV records that this is the only van I've ever had for the company. All the rest were pickup trucks. So this lawyer prepped her with the story to, get me. But he had no idea that the van had been totaled. And so right then and there, the whole thing got thrown out.
God, that's crazy.
Yeah. I had another story. I had another story with a guy with a beautiful pit bull. Fell asleep on the courthouse stairs in Elizabeth, New Jersey. And anytime anybody got close to the guy because he was drunk, the closest guy, the dog would run out and attack him, bite him, and then run back and sit next to his owner. So the cops get there, everybody's there. They can't shoot the dog because it's right next to the guy. So they call the dog animal control officer who I was friends with, turns around and goes up there, puts a snare pole over a dog sleeve and sticks the dog sleeve out, and the dog comes up and bites the dog sleeve and slides the snare right over the dog's head. Boom, sucks him in. He's in the van, gone. They arrest the guy, take the guy to court. So now the dog is in lockdown while the trial's going on. It's going to be euthanized once the trial's over, because they're putting this dog bit like 15 people and a cop.
Jeez.
And this guy goes, "Hey, Shawn, you got to come down here and get this dog, but you got to find another dog to replace it." So I go down there and look at her. Her name is Luna, red and white. So I scour the New Jersey countryside for a red and white pit bull. I find one up in Patterson at a pound. I adopt it and bring it back and put that dog in there and took Luna. And Luna was like the best guard dog ever. Yeah.
Not so good for that other dog, though.
No, but that dog was on death row anyway. You know what I mean? So,
man, that is crazy, man. That is just a insane line of work to get into. Oh God, that's crazy.
So, Casey, think of this. I was running the guard dog company, 200 dogs. I was racing greyhounds and hunting the lurchers and terriers all at the same time.
Jeez.
Yeah.
That's a lot, man.
Got a lot of energy.
No, well,
and they didn't have Adderall back then, did they?
No, they didn't have any of that gay shit.
Shawn, has your dogs on a job site defending property, have they ever killed like an intruder, somebody trying to loot the place?
No, mine never have, but another company had a pair of dogs that killed a guy on a Friday night, and his partner had to stay in the rafters of the factory till Monday morning when he was found, because he was so traumatized. Because they actually, when dogs kill somebody, It's not fast.
No, yeah, it's
Okay,
not.
it's not fast. So the guy's screaming and acting. Most people, when they go to get bit by a dog or, bit by a wild animal or get attacked, they scream. I mean, how many videos are on the internet of full-grown men, screaming for their lives, when bears are chasing them or, shit like that.
Yeah.
So this guy's, I imagine, screaming and moaning and getting destroyed. And, it's probably an hour-long process of these two dogs, killing this guy. So they turn around and the guy's up there witnessing that. So now the dogs kill the guy. The guy dies, right? This is what happened, but I wasn't there. They weren't my dogs. But this is what I imagine now. I imagine the guy standing there and watching this guy, these dogs kill this guy. And every time, cops told me that every time the guy would move around up in the rafters of this factory, the dogs would start going nuts and start ragging the guy again. So the guy had to watch that for whatever. So the dogs would go to sleep and go lay down and sleep somewhere, and then turn around. The guy would move, to shift his body, and the dogs would come running over, start barking at him, then start ragging on the dead guy. And that went on all weekend until Monday morning when the crew came. Yeah.
Holy shit. Yeah. Oh my God. Well, I can't say that I feel sorry for them in any way, shape, or form, to be honest, because you show up to a job and all your tools are stolen, all the materials gone. It's
Have you had that happen, Casey?
I've been on jobs, not personally for my company that I have, but when I was working for guys, you'd show up and the job box is missing. We used to, when I do big projects in the city, working for guys like in Jersey City and stuff, they'd cut the chain, steal the whole job box, throw it in the back of a truck and drive off with it. And then you show up, you got no tools. Nowadays everything's all PEX and PVC, so they're not really stealing much of that, but they'll try to steal the wire and stuff like that. But stealing another man's tools, I think, is the lowest thing that somebody can do.
Horrible.
You're literally using the tools to feed your family, and some piece of shit is going to steal them. It's just, it's very, very disgraceful. So I really don't feel bad for them at all. I'll teach them not to break into a construction site again, I would imagine.
No.
They probably had to lock that guy up in the loony bin after that. I don't think he's doing anything.
Yeah.
He also didn't have his boys back. If they had a little coordinated effort, they could have handled those dogs probably.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
People just lose their mind when animals attack.
I had a car lot. That was had an account at a car lot down on Frielheisen Avenue that was like a money laundering outfit for the mob. They move cars through there and, wash money through there. And so they had one of their guys, sitting in the trailer all day, hey, you want to buy this car, or whatever. Right. So they started getting broken into, and then the guy got really pissed when they broke into the trailer. So now we've got a pair of Rottweilers down there. So these two guys, young kids, come, they take a piece of carpet and throw it over the razor wire. One guy slides down, there's snow on top of some of the cars, and you see him land on the hood of a car. Then he's jumping from hood to hood to hood, and he gets down on the ground, and then all of a sudden you see him running, and then there's feathers everywhere. And turns around, and he had a down jacket on. And the dogs turned around and mashed this kid. Put him in the hospital, almost ripped his eye out, bit, his hands were crushed. I mean, these are two bad Rottweilers, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he's in University Hospital, critical care down there in Newark, and this black older woman shows up, the grandmother, and says, listen, who's going to pay for this? The mobster goes, we ain't paying for anything. He hurt one of the dogs, and we're going to press charges on him for breaking and entering and all this other stuff. And we never heard from the grandmother again, but that's, the kind of stuff that used to happen.
Jeez. Yeah.
All the time. Yeah. Yeah.
It's like living in New Jersey.
So.
Somebody breaks in your house and you defend yourself. Now you're getting sued.
Did you guys see the video of my brother's truck terrier I posted on the board?
I don't know if I did.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that.
He lives in Mountain Lakes and living there. And 2 weeks before this, two houses down got broken into. Now this house got broken into. So they go to my brother's house. They go up on the back deck, take a crowbar and start crowbarring their way in through the sliding glass door. And the truck terrier was sleeping on the couch and started going off barking. Not going to do anything, but just barking, and woke everybody up. And, my brother went down there, with his firearm, and basically they ran off, but went a mile away and started breaking into another house. The cop showed up there. It's on video. It's pretty funny. The cop showed up there and said, "Yeah, if they come in the house, shoot them. They got a crowbar in his hand, shoot them." But I'm like, yeah, that's what he's saying. But what's the prosecutor saying? Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, I talked to a cop about it. He said if someone breaks in the house, he's like, you gotta like act like you're scared and back yourself into like a corner with no windows, because basically the law is written that if you're in the second floor of your house, you have to jump out your second story window and break your legs before you can put hands on the guy. It's so fucking pathetic. It makes me so angry. Like, you know what I mean? So they told me you gotta hide. You gotta pretend like you're backed into a corner, then shoot them, and then run to your kitchen and throw, stick a butcher knife from your drawer in his hand, and then call the cops.
Yeah.
Isn't that pathetic?
So, in the South, we can shoot door-to-door solicitors here.
Well, I'm in New York now, and actually I think New York, believe it or not, being New York, I think you can defend yourself because you can conceal carry here in my county.
God, wow.
So
is that Orange County?
Orange County, They don't even give out separate pistol permits anymore. It's you get a pistol permit and a carry permit at the same time. It's one form, which is pretty cool.
Wow.
Things are changing, hopefully.
Yeah, wow, that's unbelievable. Back then, when I lived in Orange County, it was a year a bullet. They caught you with pistol ammunition at your house, and the gun wasn't registered and kept a certain way. It was a year a bullet.
Jeez.
Like if my father came from Illinois and gave me his father's 38 police pistol, and I had that in the house with 38 ammunition, the gun wasn't registered to me, it'd be 6 years just for the ammunition.
Oh God.
6-shot revolver. Yeah. That was back in 2009, 2010.
Yeah. We need George Washington to come back from the grave and clean this place up. Seriously.
If I were you guys, I would just move. I'd get on the other side of the Mississippi. You know what I mean?
Am I gonna? And I'll commute from there to all my job sites where I make my living. It's like
they got plumbing there too, Casey.
I can tell you this: if you're a good plumber and licensed out here, it's you could print money if you just show up.
Yeah, I hear that a lot in more rural areas. That if you could just show up to the job site, at least answer the phone and show up to the job, you'll be loaded. Yeah, and that's the same here, but it's just there's so much money to be made in Bergen County. Man, these people, you just throw numbers around and people are like, okay, oh, you're here for 15 minutes, okay, how much? 600, okay. It's like ridiculous. I'm like, yes, ma'am, thank you. On to the next one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I built a life that I can't really abandon just yet. But that is the plan, is to get out of here at some point and get somewhere more American.
I'm telling you, Casey, the best move I ever made, and I wish I did it 10, 15 years earlier, was move out here, out west. Yeah. It was the best. It's the best. Yeah. Yeah.
And I hear that from everybody that moves out west.
Yeah. It's not getting it's getting worse now because, it's like when Castro emptied out when I was breaking into the stunt business, I was living in Florida when Castro emptied out the prisons in Cuba, and they all came to Miami and Florida. Man, that was rough, and that's what's happening here now with all the Californians and Washington and Oregon. Shit, you can get caught. You can go be walking down the street and get stopped with a personal use methamphetamines on you. You will not get arrested.
It's crazy. Yeah, it's nuts.
So
it's crazy, man. World is changing.
Yeah. But anyway, the dogs. So that's where I'm at right now. I'm running staghounds specials, which are the cross dogs, and truck terriers. And that's my whole breeding program now. And I just bred that litter of lurchers that I sent out east to you guys. And I hope they make it.
They're all doing really well right now. And my hope is that they're the foundation for lurchers back on the East Coast.
Yeah. You gotta find, depending on what you want to do, you might find where, I mean, if you could find a really good greyhound stud out there, man, that would be something. Or a really good whippet stud. Whatever stud dog you use, it's got to be able to face teeth. You know what I mean? It's not got to be afraid of teeth. That's a must. I don't care how fast it is or whatever, but it's got to be able to face teeth, either a whippet or some greyhound. I don't know if they have many greyhound studs out there alive still, but if you could find one of them, you'll make some really nice dogs, super nice dogs. Those 3/4 crosses were the ticket for Teddy and I. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to see them run. My buddy Tom, 20 minutes down the road in Goshen, has 2 of them, and he's running them on a lure machine. They're already like super well trained, and me and him are going to get out a lot this season, so that should be a lot of fun.
Good. I can't wait to see some pictures and some footage. That'll make me happy. That's to me, that's one of the best benefits of breeding and making these high performance dogs, is putting them in people's hands. Because I can't stand a peddler. I like, it's right below, like, peddling dogs and knowingly selling inferior dogs and puppies to people is like right below kid touching to me. Like, that's I mean, it's right there. Okay. Right. It's like right below it. You know what I mean? And there's something that just like comes out of me when I see guys that I know are straight up shit sticks selling. Like, I knew that if you guys reached out to the UK to go get some collie lurchers, that there is a better than 50% chance, if you knew somebody, that you're going to get hosed. You know what I mean? And this way, I could monitor the litter and say, hey, they're acting good and stuff. Do you know what a disappointment it is to get a dog from overseas and it lands, it comes in this crate. You go to the airport, you open up the box, and the thing is shy as hell. Like, like pinned against the thing, and it's shy and spooky, and they don't care. They just cash your check, and back in the day, before the internet, we did a lot of promotion for that guy who made our dogs, David Hancock. Like, just by living the life and using them, we made a lot of promotion for him. So when Teddy would ask for a dog, guaranteed it was a good dog coming. But I saw dogs off the same guy sent another guy that I know that were questionable, and I would not be happy after breeding, spending that much money on getting a pup shipped over. I would not be happy. So I was happy to do that and get that out there.
Yeah, man, we appreciate it. us on the East, we appreciate it. Taking the time to make those dogs.
A lot of people here have no idea what the dogs are capable of, and they were hard to find homes for. Just because, like you had said earlier, it's easy if it's a purebred dog with papers, but they think as soon as it's,
you got to give them, Aaron. You got to give them the Liger story and the Siberian story.
The Liger story.
Yeah.
I'm not a good storyteller. I need to work on that.
They would have bought it after that if you told me that story.
They're going to say anybody who had the opportunity to get one and didn't get one is going to regret it. That includes Casey.
If the people that got him, if the people that got him use them, and even just like take them out to golf courses and start running bunnies with them, right? Like right now, to take them for walks and show them bunnies squatted down on the ground and walk them up and let the bunny run away. Oh, it's over. I saw that again. Is it Darby? Daryl?
Young Harrison.
Harrison. What's his last name?
Dalby.
Okay.
Doll baby.
Right. Doll. Yeah.
Man-child.
Young. Yeah. Harrison, man. I mean, he sent me a video the other day that was like, he was doing fantastic with that dog, showing it the right stuff and whatever, and training it right. I don't know if I would have posted that on the internet because of some guys went a little sideways on it because it's like they never did that. Of course they did. They're just being super gay right now.
When you're training animals to hunt other animals, you got to do certain things to get the job done.
Yeah, and expose them, And I mean that dog. I mean that light switch on Harrison's dog got punched, man, with that, those trainers, and it's I just I can't wait to see. By the end of the winter, these dogs should be going really good. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'll keep you posted with my buddy Tom. He's not too active on social media, but I'm going to get out with him and get some footage for you.
Good deal.
Yeah, he's all excited about it too. He's all pumped up. So we got a couple motivated people with good dogs in their hands. So let's see what we can do.
What does he have? Does he have males or females?
Females.
I think he has
two females.
Two females.
Yeah. I wish you lived closer. I'd get a good stud for you. You know what I mean? So,
when that,
if you wanted to go whip it or
a couple years from now, we'll see where we're at.
Yeah.
But everyone involved wants to carry the project on. So,
yeah, good deal. I bred to a Kelpie once. That was off a ranch, and this Kelpie, I bred it. It was a female Kelpie, and I bred it to a dog called Trial Runner, pure greyhound that was a beast. And he set some track records, I think, in Connecticut or something. And Steve Cooper owned him. And I bred to him. And let me tell you something. She was pregnant, and she got hit and killed by a car. The Kelpie did not belong to me. It belonged to a friend of mine. And he agreed to take the dog that when I wanted to breed it, who wants a purebred cow dog at their house? You know what I mean? And unless you live on 1 million acres and, have a high pain tolerance. I mean, they're real cow dogs are a handful to live with, and in my opinion anyway. And so long story short, he had the dog and put a lot of time into the dog. The dog chased like crazy, and we bred it to Trial Runner, and she got killed. Got hit by a car crossing the street. But man, if those puppies had made it, that would have been something,
Oh, yeah, it sucks.
Yeah. So,
jeez, that's crossing roads has got to be. I mean, it sounds like you're in the middle of nowhere, but I'm sure it still happens out there. Just running coyotes, and they're just chasing and chasing and chasing.
One of the worst things that ever happened to me is I had this Donovan pincher out here in Idaho. His name was Freddie, and like if you were to price him, anywhere in the country, he was easily $10,000 without even blinking an eye. Personal protection dog. And I used him in the bail bond business. as, protection for me when I had to go do jobs, collect money, or had idiots in the office. And he was great. So he would, come to me with work, and then we'd go home to the ranch and sleep on the couch. And God forbid anybody walked in that door that wasn't invited, and I didn't know they were coming, out in the middle of nowhere, it'd be on. And so every morning I used to get up and let him outside of the ranch and let him walk around. Well, he got a reputation. Everybody knew, in the area what dog it was, because I evicted some people off another ranch with this dog for the ranch owners. I served them with paperwork and went there, and they were very aggressive towards people, process servers. So I did them a favor and went and process served this paperwork for them with this dog. And I got them served and didn't mess. But the word got out that this dog was rough. And so he wandered half mile away and walked up on somebody's porch, and the people shot him. And I don't know this for a fact, but I assume shot him, and then, went and buried him someplace, and I never found him. And I never found out what happened to him, but I know that's what happened to him. So, but yeah, that was about it.
Jeez.
Pretty horrible. I'm still not over that one, so.
You deal enough with animals, and you're bound to experience every horrible thing that can happen.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. Started on hawks.
Oh yeah. I think hawks is a little easier to take than dogs, though.
Yeah, I like the hawk. I mean, I like the dogs more personally. You build, it's hard not to. It's man's best friend. Hawks are just using you for a free ride to the hunting spot and food.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Well, Shawn, we appreciate you coming on, man.
Yep.
I feel like we just scratched the surface. Hopefully you'll come back.
Yeah, I feel like I didn't even talk about anything other than
no, we did a lot, man. We covered a lot of stuff. It was great.
What, monkeys, Adderall, and thermals?
Yeah. Pride Month, thermals, monkeys, Adderall.
Yeah.
Sitka gear.
Yeah.
Couple of dogs.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me on, guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it was our pleasure.